Today's episode is brought to you by thisdayintheNFL.com. Celebrating football's greatest moments, one day at a time. Listen to classic broadcasts, explore historic games, and keep the legacy of the NFL alive at thisdayintheNFL.com.
The 30-yard line, filled by 3 men at the 32, with Muck Parker getting to him first. Also on the stop, halfback Don Stinson of the Bengals. The ball is ruled dead at the 31-yard line, and at that spot, Georgia Tech has first down and 10 to go. The backfield has sophomore Wade Mitchell at quarterback, Dickie Madison, sophomore at fullback, Paul Rodenberry, a sophomore at left half, and Bill T is a senior veteran at right half. Flankers left and right for Georgia Tech. 5-man defense, 5-3-3 defense against them. Mitchell pitches back to Tees, who runs wide, cuts through a gap, and doesn't move anywhere. He is hit by one man, Joe Tuminello, the defensive right end, who stood his ground, rolled off a blocker, and made the tackle exactly at the line of scrimmage on the 31-yard line across the field. No score in the football game, just underway here. Beautiful weather. Magnificent football afternoon at Grant Field, Atlanta, Georgia. Some 33,000 people on hand, including the entire Georgia Tech student body for the first time this year. John Wood is in at defensive left end for LSU, and Dickie Prescott at fullback. Dropping over in kick formation for the Jackets is fullback Dickie Madison. Instead, the handoff goes on a crisscross play to Rodenberry, who runs a slash, moving from the left to the right side, makes maybe 2 yards and no more, as Monk Parker, the defensive right guard, and Sid Frenchie Fournette make the tackle. Gary Dildy also on the stop at the 32. It's a gain of 1. And it'll be 3rd down and 9 to go for the Yellow Jackets, as the big LSU line, big in number and rough, so far has stymied the Georgia Tech attack. The ends for LSU cross over on defense on this play. Normal T for Georgia Tech. Pitch out goes back from Mitchell to Rodenberry, who runs toward the right. He's going to shoot a pass way downfield. He does throw, and it's going to be almost intercepted, not quite. Intended for Henry Hare at the 43-yard line in LSU territory, and broken up nicely by Chuck Johns, Levi Chuck Johns. Sid Fournette came in to put the pressure on Paul Rodenberry, and on the pitch out, Rodenberry ran wide to his right as though he might run with the ball, and finally lobbed a pass downfield. Henry Hare was there to wait for it and jump up for it. He could not catch it, and Tech has 4th down and 9 to go at their own 32-yard line. The referee in this ball game is E.D. Cavett of Southwestern. More about that later. Tech shifts out of the T in the backfield at punt formation with Madison back at his own 18-yard line to do the kicking. He gets a snap. It's a high one. He has to reach for it. Gets it down, kicks it. A wobbler upfield, not too deep. The ball hits on the 40-yard line, bounds toward the sideline, goes out of bounds in LSU territory at the 39-yard line. And we have no score in the football game here early in the first period, with 2 minutes exactly having been played. Georgia Tech failing to move the ball along the ground and punting to LSU at the 39-yard line. So the Bengals go on offense for the first time this afternoon. Coach Gus Tinsley's crew, still looking for victory number 1 on this season, have veteran Al Doggett, the senior from Louisiana, at quarterback. The halves are Stinson and Johns, and Dickie Prescott's the fullback at the moment. They're in the split T formation. The line spread out. There's the Tech belly play with a handoff going to Johns. He runs off right tackle, moves out to about the 45-yard line. Tackled by Paul Rodenberry, the defensive left side back of Georgia Tech. Gain on the play from the 39 to the 45 of 6 yards. And it'll be 2nd down and 4 to go for LSU. Up front, they've got Wood, Dildy, Paris, Jones, Parker, Fournette, and Tuminello. Doggett brings him out and sets him down. He's wearing a face mask, a plastic face mask this afternoon. Taking a spread 6-man line. Pitch out goes back to Dickie Prescott, the fullback. He tries to run in, and Henry Hare meets him, grabs him around the shoulder pads, and slings him down at the sideline for no gain. Actually, there will be a loss of a couple of yards on the play at the 43-yard line. Henry Hare, the big, fine-looking specimen from Marist College, Atlanta, playing his greatest season at Georgia Tech on the flank. A loss of 2 on that play makes it 3rd down and 6 to go for the Bayou Bengals. No score in the football game early in the first period. Referee E.D. Cavett of Southwestern. The umpire, William Luttrell of Tennessee. The linesman, Robert Caldwell of Mississippi State. Field judge, Jack Griffith of Georgia. Back judge, J. Frank Lowry of Howard College. The ECO operator is Lee Richards. Back to pitch is Doggett. He cocks his arm, throws, no good. The ball broken up just across the midfield stripe. Intended for Joe Tuminello, and Paul Rodenberry was there to bust it up. Doggett went back, cocked his arm, had his finger on the trigger, and paused several times before eventually firing. He was looking for a receiver. He thought he had Tuminello spotted. The pass was broken up by Rodenberry, and that's the 2nd pass in the ball game, 1 on each side so far, and we have no completions. The ball at the 43-yard line, LSU territory, where it's now 4th down and 6 to go, and Doggett drops off into punt formation. He moves back. Al Doggett has a bandage around his right leg. Don't know what caused that. Maybe it's just a strengthening device. Anyway, he's back now at his 30-yard line. Gets the snap. Boots the ball. A nice spiral coming downfield. Tech has twin safeties. Tees backs off, takes the ball to the 10-yard line, runs over, hands it off to Rodenberry. He fumbles the ball out of bounds here on the western sideline at about the 7-yard line. Tees took that ball at the 10. He had very little room to move in. As he was about 2 yards inside the sideline stripe, he turned to run diagonally across field and tried to hand the ball off to Paul Rodenberry. Paul bounced it off his chest, out of bounds at about the 8-yard line, and at that spot, the Yellow Jackets take over once again on offense. Their own 8-yard line, first down, 10 to go. On the punt exchange, Tech is moved back 24 yards, and now they are at their 8. They send a flanker wide to the left side. That's Billy Tees. We have no score in the football game in the first period. Quarterback is Wade Mitchell for Georgia Tech. LSU mashes the defense. The handoff goes to Dickie Madison, and he rips up the middle, moving nicely out to the 13-yard line for a gain of 5. Ted Parris and Dickie Prescott make the tackle for LSU with an assist from John Wood, the left end. A gain of 5 to the 13-yard line, and that's the first time Big Dickie Madison has run with that explosive power that we hear he carries. He's a sophomore from Charlotte, North Carolina. Bill Tees now is the flanker out to the left side, not too far out. He's a couple of yards outside the end. 13-yard line, 2nd and 5. LSU again mashing the defense. Again, it's Madison carrying over the right side. He moves out across the 15-yard line for a gain on the play of something like 3. Ted Parris again leads the tacklers at the 16-yard line. Gain of 3 yards. It'll be 3rd down and 2 for the Yellow Jackets. And across the way, you can hear the entire Tech student body on hand for the first time this year. The freshmen only had registered when the last home game was played against Florida 2 weeks back. Now they're all here, and they'll provide us with some yelling this afternoon. Handoff again goes to Madison. He actually jumps over the line of scrimmage and makes his first down to the 20-yard line. That was something to see. Madison ran up to the line of scrimmage and then just did a standing broad jump forward over the mass of submerging guards and tackles for LSU. Larry Jones, the center, Enos Monk Parker, and Al Doggett made the tackle for LSU, but actually there was no tackle involved, as Dickie Madison just broad jumped with his cleats flying out in front of him out to the 20-yard line, and Tech has its first down of the ball game. It was a gain of 4 yards. Tech has 1st and 10 at the 20. No score. Jimmy Durham is a flanker wide to the left. He's the end. Mitchell pitches back to Tees. Tees runs for the corner, cuts upfield, goes out to the 25-yard line, and is piled up at that spot by a flood of LSU tacklers. Sid Fournette, the All-American candidate, had circled around to help out on the play from the back. Ted Parris and Dick Prescott and Larry Jones, we're going to get that straight. It's Jones, Jones, not Johns. We used to fly with a guy named Larry Johns, and that may cause a confusion. Larry Jones making the tackle at the 24-yard line. It's 2nd down and 6 to go for Georgia Tech at their own 24. Henry Hare flanks wide to the right on this play. LSU with a 6-man line, 6-2-2-1. The handoff goes on a delayed play to Rodenberry. He rips off right tackle, comes out just shy of the 30-yard line. John Wood makes the tackle at that spot. Rodenberry seems to have regained his running form. As you know, he did not play in the SMU contest a week ago. He was hurt. But he is not moving with any sluggishness whatsoever this afternoon. He gains on that play 5 yards to the 29. It'll be 3rd down and 1 for Georgia Tech at that spot. We've got 9 minutes remaining in the first period here with no score. Tech spreading its line as they have been all season. The backfield in the T this time with no flankers. Handoff goes to Madison. He runs up the middle over the center, comes out across the 30 and should have his first down. Monk Parker and Larry Jones make the tackle, and Georgia Tech is showing us here in this particular drive something that they have not had earlier this season, that they've not had since Van Turner. That is a big fullback who can get those vital 2 or 3 yards when they have to have them. The ball now at the 32-yard line. That play went for 3 on the first down. 1st and 10 Yellow Jackets. As LSU tries to stop this running attack, they are not putting men deep to protect against passes, at least at the moment. They're using a Y in the back, the safety man inside the 2 halves. Now he moves back outside. They have 3 linebackers, 5-3-2-1. We have a flanker out to the right side for Georgia Tech. A marker goes down as he moves too soon. The handoff, no handoff. Wade Mitchell takes the ball, keeps it on the split T optional play, runs to the left, and is piled up at about the 33-yard line. And we're going to have a motion penalty call against Georgia Tech as the flanker, who was Paul Rodenberry, wide to the right, stepped off an instant too soon. And to see these officials talking with the LSU captains is a sight, because they have 4 captains in the ball game. They are using 4 seniors as head men. The penalty was declined by the Bengals. They stopped the play for a gain of 1 yard at the 33. It's 2nd down for Georgia Tech and 9 to go at that spot. The ball about 18 yards in from the eastern boundary. We have Hare flanking wide to the right this time for Tech. Tech in white and gold. traditionally. LSU in dark blue and gold and gray trousers. Which Mitchell takes it. There's the belly play with a handoff going to Roddenberry, and he squirms his way forward out almost to the 40-yard line, to the 39 actually, before John Wood can make the stop. Wood is one of 2 or 3 LSU players from Lake City, Florida. They are a long way from home. Time is called now for Georgia Tech. Out of the ball game comes Mitchell. In goes Bucky Schamberger at quarterback, and we'll pause and have a message from our sponsor.
Take time out to give your car a ride that's smooth as a magic carpet with Incidentally, visit your favorite service station here in Greater Atlanta and get your lucky number folder today.
LSU has just suffered a 5-yard delay of the game penalty as they sent in a substitute here and took too long in doing it. That moves the ball out to the 43-yard line for Tech and gives them the first down as Bucky Schamberger is in at quarterback for Tech for the first time. Flank out to the right side for the Jacket. Schamberger pitches out. No, he keeps the ball and runs out across the 45-yard line. There is a marker on the play. Schamberger makes about 5 on his first offensive sally. Tackled by Gary Dildy, who's moved over from left to right tackle, with Sid Burnett going out of the ball game for LSU. There's a marker on the play, and Georgia Tech is offside. The penalty moving the ball back down to the 38-yard line. They call that a motion penalty, so the back moved before the lineman did, although just about everybody was ahead of the snap. Tech's first penalty, and it counteracts the LSU 5-yard penalty, although Tech gained a first down by the LSU thing. First and 15 out of the 38 flank route. Handoff goes to Dickie Madison, and he is hogtied back at the 35-yard line. Joe Tuminello comes splashing in from defensive right end to make the tackle. Madison can never get up running room whatsoever. So there's a loss on the play of 3 back to the 35. At that spot, it will be second down and 18 yards to go for Georgia Tech. Bucky Schamberger is a junior. Stands 5'11", weighs 176 pounds. He's from Columbus, Mississippi, but he did some postgraduate high school playing up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We've seen him here in Atlanta in action against Grady High School back away. And he's in there now at quarterback. We have a flanker, Roddenberry, wide to the right for Georgia Tech. Second down, 18 to go. Fumble on the snap, and let's see what happens. They'll tussle for it at about the 33-yard line, and almost anybody could come up with it. Let's see what happens. Tech recovers. Schamberger fumbled the snap from center. Finally fell on the ball himself at the 33. So that's a further loss of 2 yards. Makes it now third down and 20 to go for Georgia Tech. And the LSU defense has stiffened here momentarily. There is no score in the football game. Still in the first period with some 6.5 minutes remaining. Now we shift into punt formation for Georgia Tech. The ball squarely between the side stripes. Back into kick formation goes Madison inside his 20. He gets the snap, gets the kick away. A high spiral, a nice one coming upfield. Fair catch signaled for and taken at the 33-yard line by Al Doggett, the quarterback and the safety man for LSU. And Larry Morris, who was downfield to slaughter him, had to practically dance over his back, play leapfrog to keep from hitting him, but he did. Missed the man on the fair catch, and so on the punt, LSU takes over, first down and 10 to go. The Tigers have the ball at their own 33-yard line. So Georgia Tech's kicking game has gradually driven LSU back a few yards on the exchange. Tech now using a 6-3-2 defense. The play comes to the left with halfback Don Stinson running. He's over to the sideline stripe, lowers his head, is chased out of bounds as he moves out to the 40-yard line for a gain of about 7. And it was Bucky Schamberger who put the shoulder into him and drove him out. They mark him out actually at the 38-yard line, which is a gain of only 5. Makes it second down now and 5 to go for LSU at their own 38-yard line. The ball moved in a third of the way from the western boundary here. And Tech sends in substitutes Bill Sennett at left end. He's the senior. Ray Willock is out and Don Miller in at right guard. Reese Phoenix is in at right tackle. Frank Webster at right end. Frank Christie is still the left tackle. Frank Brooks is still in at left guard. In the backfield, you've got Schamberger, Dickie Madison, Paul Roddenberry, and Bill Teese. Now Madison goes out. Johnny Hunsinger, the graduate student, the veteran, is in at fullback. And Teese gives way to Jimmy Thompson, the little boy from Bessemer, Alabama, the 5'6". Alan Ecker is also in the ball game. He's the Grady High graduate from Atlanta. And George Balkert goes in for Roddenberry at halfback. We've got Carl Vereen in also at left tackle replacing Christie. Here's a handoff in the backfield to fullback Dickie Prescott of LSU. He comes out starting from the 38-yard line, goes out across the 40 to almost the 43. That's close to enough for a first down, and they're going to have to look. They give us the scissors, which means an official timeout, and they'll take out the stakes to see. The tackle was by Jimmy M. Morris of Vicksburg, Mississippi, who's in at center, and Don Miller and Frank Webster, all of them in on the stop for Georgia Tech, and it may or may not be the first down. If it's not, it'll bring up a third down situation. It is a first down. for LSU, and that's their first of the football game as they work out the necessary yardage at the 43-yard line, exactly 10 yards worth. No score in the football game with 5 minutes and 37 seconds left to play in period number 1. A good crowd on hand, a nice breeze blowing, not enough to affect the ball game. Quarterback sneak now with Al Doggett taking the ball and moving exactly nowhere. He may have gotten a yard strictly on forward motion. Alan Ecker and Don Miller, the two Georgia Tech guards, pinch in on him and stop him at what we'll have to call the 45-yard line. Actually, it's a bit short of the 45, but we'll make it 45. Call it second down, 8 to go for LSU. The ball a third of the way in from the western boundary here, directly in front of us. As you know, Grant Field runs north and south, and the press box is on the west side. LSU sends a flanker out to the right side. Chuck Johns, the left halfback, is flanking about 5 yards out. Tech shifts his defense. Doggett runs along the line on the action play. He runs along, turns upfield, moves across the 45, goes out across the midfield stripe, and has made himself about 7 yards before he's tackled in the secondary by John Hunsinger, backing up the line for Georgia Tech. That is LSU's first penetration into Tech territory, and they are at the Jacket 48-yard line. Again on the play of 7 yards to make it third down now and 1 to go. Third and 1 to go. 5 officials working this football game as they do all SEC games this year. Now Tech masters its defense in the line. The handoff goes on a counter play to Johns, the left half. He runs crossing over and should have his first down at the Georgia Tech 45-yard line. Hunsinger again makes the tackle. Chuck Johns moving for the first down. Actually sort of skipping and jumping over the line to the 45 for a gain of 3. And LSU has its second first down. First and 10 for the Tigers at the Tech 45. Tech is working with a second team in there now. They do not have their varsity starters in. They now have an 8-man line for the Jackets, 3 backers up. Actually not backers up, but secondary man. Now they drop out 2 backers up. Pitch out goes back to fullback Dickie Prescott, who runs wide to the left. Is hit at the line of scrimmage and thrown for absolutely no gain, possibly a yard loss. Reese Phoenix, Don Miller, and Jimmy M. Morris all in on the tackle, along with Frank Webster. That's the entire defensive right side of the Tech line. He was running toward them, and they all refused to be taken out of the play. All came in to help out on the stop. The ball stops at the 45-yard line, so we'll call it an exact nothing. No gain, no loss on the play. Into the ball game for LSU goes fullback O.K. Ferguson. He was the starter. Leo, the flying Dershman, a big 225-pound speed merchant who is the starter for LSU at fullback, is not playing. He has an injured ankle, a sprained ankle that he got in the Kentucky game a week ago. Here's the score at halftime. Notre Dame 13, Pittsburgh 0, and that will gladden the hearts of our loyal Irish follower, Joe Zart. Time out on the playing field for LSU, they call it, as Coach Gus Tinsley wanted to send in his fullback, O.K. Ferguson. He's got him back in there now. And across the way, we've got the Georgia Tech student body standing up to listen to their band and cheer them on. So let's pick that up, Ivan Niles. Number 36 has just gone into the ball game for LSU. That's Vincent Pepe Gonzalez of New Orleans. He is the 5'10", 190-pound halfback who was supposed to be the starting right half for LSU and was kicked off the squad for disciplinary reasons a couple of weeks ago and has worked his way back into good graces. And now he comes into the ball game for the first time. He's at right half, Chuck Johns at left half, and O.K. Ferguson is fullback. Second down and 10 to go for LSU. There's a pitch out to Ferguson, who runs wide out to the sideline, goes down to the 40-yard line before he's driven out after a gain of 5 by Jimmy Thompson of Georgia Tech. Ferguson, 195-pounder, running up against little old 154-pound Jimmy Thompson, and Thompson bounces him out of bounds after a gain of 5 yards at the 40. No score in this football game. We still have 3 minutes and about 25 seconds left. Third down now and 5 to go for LSU as the Tech defenses have stiffened at their 40. Tech now working with a 5-man line. Doggett goes back to pass. He's back to the midfield stripe. Looks, throws downfield. It's good down to the Tech 30-yard line. The man breaks away to the Tech 28. That's Joe Tuminello, the right end. And that's the first successful pass of this football game. And it was a hard strike. It was very much like a pitcher going down the alley with his fastball as he threw just about belt buckle level, right down close to the ground. Tuminello cut across, took the ball, and was hit down at the 28-yard line by Bucky Schamberger, defensive safety man for Georgia Tech. The pass good for 12 yards and a first down at the 28. Backfield and normal set for LSU. The handoff goes to right halfback Gonzalez. He moves down inside the 25-yard line, stopped by the mass of Tech players.
And they throw him back, actually, to the 26-yard line. His forward motion, however, went to the 25. At that spot, Alan Ecker was the first man to get to him. It's a gain of 5 yards for Pepe Gonzalez. Makes it 2nd down and 7 to go. Up front for the Jackets, you've got Bill Sennett, Carl Vereen, Alan Ecker, Don Miller, Reese Phoenix, and Frank Webster on defense. Now the Jackets work with a 5-2-1-3. Back to pass is Doggett. Has plenty of time. Shoots one way down close to the goal. It's broken up at the 5-yard line. 3 Tech men fighting for the ball with left end John Wood of LSU. And little Jimmy Thompson almost came up with it as he hit the ground at the 5-yard line. Bucky Schamberger and Jimmy M. Morris were also in on the stop. And Wood would have had to be a Superman indeed to catch that pass as Tech flooded the area with possible defensive men and busted it up back at the 5-yard line. The incompleted pass makes it 3rd down and 7 at the 25-yard line. Georgia leads North Carolina 7-0 up at Chapel Hill at the end of the first period, and Wake Forest leads Maryland, get this one 7-0 at the end of 1. In this ball game, 3rd and 7 for LSU at Georgia Tech's 25-yard line. No score in the football game. Doggett back to pass. Has time, shoots way down the middle. It is intercepted by halfback George Falcott at the 3. He's back at the 5. Takes off one tackler and is thrown at the 5 as he tries to turn upfield. Chuck Johns, halfback of LSU, gets to George Falcott and brings him down to the 5-yard line. But the pass interception has taken Tech out of trouble momentarily. Joe Tuminello also in on that tackle. He was supposed to be the receiver, and he could not do anything about it as Falcott intercepted the pass for Georgia Tech. Now the Yellow Jackets in possession at their own 5-yard line. 1st down, 10 to go. There's no score. The quarterback is Schamberger. He takes it, keeps on the sneak, tries to roll off one tackler and can't do it. The whistle blows as Schamberger is stopped standing up at the 6-yard line. Robert Ziegler, sophomore right guard of LSU, and to make the key stop at the 6. It's a gain of 1, makes it 2nd down, 9 to go. First period score, Iowa 13, Michigan 7. First quarter, Penn State 7, Virginia 0. We've given you, let's see, first period score, Army 13, Dartmouth nothing. We'll feed you these scores as we get them throughout the long afternoon. Georgia Tech lining up in the tee and then shifting out into punt formation. It sends Balkett back to kick inside his end zone. He's about 2 yards in from the last stripe in the end zone. Gets your snap, gets his kick away. Not a spectacular kick, but a pretty good one. Coming upfield, hitting on about 37-yard, 38-yard line, and then bouncing straight up and down like a yo-yo on a string. Finally comes to rest at the Georgia Tech 39-yard line. So on the kick exchange, LSU takes over at Tech's 39-yard line. They had worked their way down to the 25 before the interception. Time is called by LSU, and let's bring on a message from our sponsor.
If your car needs time out to get started on cold mornings, don't let it get you down. Do the right thing. Always use Texaco Fire Chief gasoline. Count on 100% climate-controlled Fire Chief for quick starts and fast warm-ups. It gives you lots of power for hills and passing. Fire Chief is Texaco's emergency power gasoline that sells at regular gasoline prices. Get a tank full of Fire Chief tomorrow at your Texaco dealer. The best friend your car has ever had.
Back in this ball game, Coach Bobby Dodd has substituted Charlie Huff, the Decatur, Georgia senior, at left end, replacing Bill Sennett. That's the 3rd man we've seen work on that terminal thus far this afternoon, as Dodd apparently is beginning to move toward the multiple substitutions or platoon type of football. He has not gotten down to a definite 1 and 2 team affair yet, but a few moments ago when he removed the first team man, he put in just about a whole new cast, and that may be something that we'll be seeing later on here, as they try to conserve the strength and make the best of the talent that is on hand at the flat. So you've got Charlie Huff at left end, Carl Vereen at left tackle, Alan Ecker at left guard, Don Miller at right guard, Reese Phoenix at right tackle, Frank Webster at right end, and the backfield Jimmy M. Morris and Johnny Hunsinger backing up. George Falcott and Jimmy Thompson the side backs, and Bucky Schamberger at safety, as LSU has possession at Tech's 39-yard line. 1st down, 10 to go, and we have no score. Pepe Gonzalez is a flanker wide to the right for LSU. His quarterback Doggett takes it, goes back to pass. He's chased. He jumps and shoots a pass way out. That is good to Gonzalez at the 20-yard line. He's caught from the rear and knocked out of bounds at the Georgia Tech 17. That pass, Honey hung on a clothesline out there, and Pepe Gonzalez pulled in the wash. Caught the ball at the sideline, was knocked out of bounds by George Balkett at the Tech 17-yard line. That pass good for 22 yards, and a 1st down for LSU at the Georgia Tech 17. No score in the football game. We have less than a minute remaining in the first period, about 33 seconds now in the first quarter. LSU flanks Gonzalez wide to the left this time. Doggett is the quarterback, the senior veteran. He's been in there all the way thus far. The long count, Doggett fakes, finally hands off to halfback Chuck Johns, who cuts over right tackle, goes down close to the goal line, is driven out of bounds at the Georgia Tech 3-yard line by Bucky Schamberger. defensive safety man for Georgia Tech. And that's another first down for the Tigers at the Jacket 3-yard line. That one good for 14 big yards. Gives LSU first down and goal to go at the 3. Time is called on the playing field for Georgia Tech. And across the way, directly in front of the Tech student body, this action will crank up in a moment as time comes back in again. And the Georgia Tech student body yelling behind the lead vocal cords of the cheerleaders, hold that line, hold that line. LSU has been a sort of a sleeping tiger down in the Bayou country this far. Most people have felt that Gus Tinsley, although not loaded with talent, had a lot of big bruisers who would eventually come to a boil when welded into a good unit and make it rough on somebody. They almost did that last week as they lost out to Kentucky 7-6 in a ball game that a great many experts thought LSU should properly have won. As you know, they lost to Texas in the first game of the season, 20-6, and that was not any sort of a blot on the record because Texas is one of those big tough things that may rank well up nationally before this season is over. So LSU is showing some of its latent power here in the first period against Georgia Tech. They have not been able to score yet. It's been pretty much of a stymie, a stalemate thus far, with both teams flashing some brilliance. And LSU now with the best chance so far down to the Georgia Tech 3-yard line after a 22-yard pass and a 14-yard gallop. Up they come to the line now. They're in the normal T formation at the 3 as Tech mashes the defense along the line with 3 men back only. The handoff goes to halfback Chuck Johns, who runs inside and goes down mighty close. He's going to be stopped about a foot short, apparently. The mass of the Tech line made the tackle on the 1-foot line. The clock keeps moving with about 10 seconds left to play now in the first period. And the gain down to the 1-yard line makes it 2nd and goal for LSU. Reese Phoenix, the boy from Miami, is the key stopper on that last play. And now Tech student body stands up, the ball on the 1-yard line. Doggett sets his charge down, calls it, keeps it on a sneak. And he butts his way in there, but he may or may not have gotten that extra foot he needed. The Tech line rose up in mass and halted him. Time is called now because the end of the first period is at hand, and we're going to wait for a signal from the officials as to what this was before we turn things over to a message from our sponsor. Let's see. They've got 100 yards to move anyway, and that's no touchdown. It misses by a matter of inches. And at the end of one quarter, it's LSU 0, Georgia Tech 0 at Grant Field, Atlanta, Georgia. This is Thad Horton, and we'll turn things over for a word from our sponsor. Throughout the game, the coaches of both teams are planning strategy to increase the scoring advantage or to balance the score. And if you take the time to have your car checked regularly at your Texaco dealers, you'll be increasing your motoring advantages against a lot of possible trouble later on. Your Texaco dealer will check your batteries, tires, windshield wipers, many other important points to help keep your car performing at its best. Make it a habit to drive in regularly at the sign of the big red star with the green T for a checkup at your Texaco dealers, the best friend your car has ever had. We've got time to pause again right here for 10 seconds and station identification. WGSC Atlanta. These are the Georgia. The officials have now walked the necessary almost 100 yards from the north to the south end of Grant Field, and they've set this ball down about 6 inches from goal line territory as Georgia Tech sends back in its first team. Larry Morris, Franklin Brooks, Alan Ecker, Frank Christie, Armand Anderson, Jimmy Durham, and Henry Hare along the forward wall. In the backfield, you've got Wade Mitchell back in again, Johnny Hunsinger to back up the line along with Morris, Bill Tees and Paul Roddenberry. And LSU will move from the 1-yard line. Actually, it's less than that. It's about the 1-foot line or possibly the 6-inch line. It's third down. The Tigers have come after a Georgia Tech kick that was fairly short from the Tech 39-yard line down to this spot, resting right on top of touchdown territory, looking downhill at it. And they've got third down now as the Tech line is stiffened inside the 3 and held on pretty well. Let's see whether they can stymie the offensive surge of the Tigers anymore. As you know, last week they stopped SMU down real close. Let's see what happens here. They come up to it. Second period just underway. No score in the football game. They have a flanker wide. 2 flankers out to the right side for LSU. Doggett takes the ball, hands off to the left half. He goes diving in there. Fumbles. No touchdown. Fumble and recovered by LSU in the end zone. And let's see. That's right. A Tech man dove for that ball as halfback Chuck Johns, I believe it was, dove in there, the left half, crashed into the nose. Sal Niccolo, who was in the left half, dove in for the touchdown, fumbled the ball, and John Wood, the left end, recovered into the end zone, and LSU leads Georgia Tech 6-0. In the backfield for the Tigers, you've now got Wynn Turner in at quarterback, number 12, Sal Niccolo at left half, the fullback is Prescott, and the right half is Vincent Pepe Gonzalez. 6-0 the score as LSU finally rams one home against the Jackets, fumbled in the end zone, and John Wood recovered it. Al Doggett is back into the ball game, replacing the halfback Niccolo, and Doggett will attempt a conversion here with halfback Chuck Johns holding the ball. The lines are down. It's 6-0 LSU. There's the ball. There's the spot. There's the boot. It's blocked. Georgia Tech gets to it. I believe it was Wade Mitchell. It was. He came smashing through to block that kick. Wade Mitchell got it. And the score is LSU 6, Georgia Tech 0. Wade Mitchell, number 11, the outstanding defensive ball player, the safety man in the Georgia Tech football machinery, comes crashing through a hole, firing through like a linebacker to get his chest in front of that attempted conversion by Al Doggett. You got to give that touchdown to John Wood on a recovered fumble. And that's the way she is. It's 6-0 here as LSU prepares to kick off to Georgia Tech. The Jackets out there with their big troops now, the first team starters. We are early in the second period. Actually, only 7 seconds having been played as the clock was stopped for the EP. There's the boot as Doggett kicks it away down to the 13. It's picked up at the 9-yard line by Billy Pease, who runs wide to the left side, comes out across the 15, across the 20, and is wrapped up at the 22-yard line at the far side of the field by R.B. Nunnery, who's in now at left tackle. Nunnery, a 240-pounder who stands 6'3". He's a big junior. And he is not the first-team tackle, but he's in there now. So, Georgia Tech has possession of the ball at their own 23-yard line. First down and 10 to go. Tech trails 6-0 as LSU has finally ran the touchdown home. Henry Hare flanks wide out to the right side, almost to the out-of-bounds line. Counterflanker is Paul Rodenberry in the backfield to the left. There's the handoff to halfback Bill Pease, who goes up the middle, catching the loose at the 30, the 35, the 40. He's in the clear at midfield, the 40, 35, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown for Billy Pease. Mr. William Pease, a married man with a lovely wife and a lovely daughter, has never made anybody any happier than he just made this crowd here as he ripped 77 yards off right tackle on the inside belly play. Goes to the sideline, goes all the way for a Georgia Tech touchdown, and it's 6-6. It'll be Wade Mitchell attempting the conversion with Pease holding. The lines are down now. There's the snap, there's the spot, there's the boot. It is good. Georgia Tech leads 7-6. On that run of Billy Pease, after he broke into the clear at midfield, he was followed closely by 3 LSU defenders. Chuck Johns was the head man, and Henry Hare of Georgia Tech, the right end, came along from nowhere, sort of rode protective guard. He was sort of a caboose for Billy Pease, followed him along, kept looking over his shoulder to see who he ought to hit. And finally, when Chuck Johns made his bid, reached out to tackle Pease, Henry Hare dropped to the ground and cut down Mr. Johns as though he'd been hit by a scythe. So you've got to credit Henry Hare with a real big assist on that magnificent 77-yard touchdown jaunt by the speed merchant from Andrews, North Carolina, Billy Pease. An electrifying jaunt, followed up by Mitchell's extra point, and now Georgia Tech is nursing a 7-6 lead. It'll be Wade Mitchell kicking off. This is the first time we've seen Mitchell in the kickoff role, although he used to do it for North Fulton High School. 7-6 your score here. The Tech student body standing up. There's the whistle and there's the boot. It's a high one, not too deep. Taken down at the 7-yard line by Vincent Pepe Gonzalez. He's back to the 20. Steps over this way to the 25. Has the block. Goes to the 30, the 35. Finally driven out of bounds by Wade Mitchell and Paul Rotenberry, directly in front of the Tech bench. This is going to be one of those things, my friend, so hang on to your safety belt, wherever you are. We've got us a ball game here. Georgia Tech kicking off to LSU. And Pepe Gonzalez runs it back out to the 40-yard line, where it's 1st and 10 for the Bayou Bengals, a 7-6 score, as Billy Pease has run 77 yards to give Tech the duke. Put them back in the lead. Still in the second period, early in the second period, 1 minute and 10 seconds in quarter number 2 is all that have been played. T formation for LSU. The handoff goes in the backfield to Chuck Johns, who runs a slant play over toward the right and makes maybe 1 yard and no more. Frank Christie and Franklin Bush get to him and make him quit after a gain of 1 yard at the 41. Second down and 9 to go. We have not seen Pease do a trick like that since last year when he won the Duke game in the last couple of moments with a kickoff with a punt return. And he can fly. He can really move, as he did. Ask LSU, they'll tell you. Second down now, 9 to go for LSU. The ball a third of the way in from the western sideline. 6-2-2-1 defense against LSU. A deep pitch out goes to fullback Dickie Prescott, who runs over the right side. He's hit at the 45-yard line, spills across there to the 46. As All-American guard Franklin Brooks gets to him first and makes him stop. Roddenberry also on the stop, as was big number 88, Jimmy Durham, the senior end of Talladega, Alabama. Again on the play at the 45 of 4 yards, and it'll be third down and 5 to go for the Tigers at that spot. We still have 12 minutes and 45 seconds left to play in the first half here. Score is 7-6, Georgia Tech. LSU in the split T. 6-2-2-1 defense. Doggett gets the ball back straight off. He's going to pass. He throws upfield, no good. At the Tech 47-yard line, intended for halfback Chuck Johns. So it cut across, and Henry Hare reached in to bat the ball away at the last moment. That was close. Hare has certainly played his most sensational game of his career thus far, and he's only worked part of 2 quarters. He has been a stone mountain out there, and it's been expected for a long time, and he seems to have come of age all of a sudden. Now Alan Ecker goes out. Ray Willock in, the senior guard in the line for Georgia Tech. That's the 45-yard line, their own. LSU has 4th down now and 5 to go. They send Al Doggett back in front formation, fairly deep. He stands at his 32-yard line, gets a good snap, steps up into the ball, a 2-step kick, lifts it away down toward the sideline, and hits on the 20-yard line, rolls down inside the 15, curls to a rest at the Georgia Tech 12-yard line, and nobody molested at all. They let it lie at the 12, and at that spot, Georgia Tech will once again go on offense. Yellow Jackets leading 7-6. As they allowed LSU to score first, they held them 3 downs inside the 3 and then let them punch one over, making them fumble into the end zone, but LSU recovered. That gave the Tigers a 6-0 lead, and Tech came back immediately following the next kickoff with Billy T stepping 77 big yards for the touchdown. Here you've got Charlie Huff and Billy T flanking wide for Georgia Tech as they move from the 12. The handoff goes to the fullback Roddenberry. He breaks into the clear on the far side. He's up to the 30, out across out to the 33-yard line. And the faking through there. There's the belly play, the same play the T's broke loose on a moment ago. And this time Paul Roddenberry stretches out to the 34-yard line for a gain on the play of 22. First down for Georgia Tech. Time is called on the playing field, and let's have a message from our sponsor right here.
Who wants to take time out this winter for a car that behaves like a bulky horse?
We have to keep faith with you and tell you that Pease did not run the inside belly play on his touchdown because he, of course, is the right halfback. He ran the quickie where he moves straight ahead, right through a gap in the line, with Bush blocking up front, and then flares out toward the sideline, turns on the steam, and moves. And this play that Roddenberry just ran so beautifully was the inside belly play, as Roddenberry runs from left half and cuts across and runs over the right side. So, on Roddenberry's 22-yard gallop, Georgia Tech has its 5th first down of the ball game. They lead 7-6 with play back in again at the Tech 34-yard line. First down, 10 to go. The Jackets have Roddenberry flanking out to the left side. Hare is about an extra yard out on the right end. Quarterback is Mitchell. Barks the signals with a long count. Takes the ball, goes back to the right, throws a jump pass to Hare. It's good at the 40-yard line, and Big Henry runs out of bounds finally at the 45. Chased out by Chuck Johns, the defensive left side back. And Al Doggett, the safety man of LSU, and that's going to be a first down. Again from the 34 to the 45, an 11-yard pass. And Tech looks sharp this afternoon. .45-yard line. Tech territory, 1st and 10 for the Jackets. They lead 7-6. We've got a flanker, Roddenberry, out to the left side. Mitchell, the quarterback, takes it, runs over to the right. He's going to run with it up to the 45, up to the midfield side, knocked out of bounds. Actually, they're going to have to spot him out because he dove a couple of yards forward. They move him out to the 49-yard line as left end Sammy Murray and Dickie Prescott, the defensive linebacker for LSU, get to him, put the shoulder to him, and knock him out. That was the identical play with the previous one, where the quarterback takes, rolls out to the weak side, and jumps and throws to the right end. Only this time it was a run instead of the pass to Hare. It's worth 4 yards to the 49. It's 2nd down and 6 for Georgia Tech, and Roddenberry is once again a flanker, this time to the right side. So that's a change. Mitchell is the quarterback. There is the handoff to the fullback, Madison, And he goes across the midfield side. Doesn't do too well. He's hit down at about the 40, about the 50-yard line. And Joe Ciminello and Gary Dildy get in and bring him down at the midfield side. A gain of 1 yard to make it third down now and 5 for Georgia Tech. And it's Hunting with fullback and not Madison for the Jackets. Hare is the flanker wide at right end. The backfield flanker is Billy Tees wide to the left side. The ball at midfield, third down and 5. Back to pass in the pocket is Mitchell. He shoots across the middle. Good, beautiful to him. Charlie Huff, and he's tackled at the 37-yard line. Al Doggett up from the defensive safety post to make that stop as Mitchell fires one beautifully. Just like working in a shooting gallery, he fired down the barrel, and there was big Charlie Huff of Decatur, Georgia, 6'1", 176-pounder. Again on the play to the 37 of 13 yards. And another Georgia Tech first down. First and 10 for the Jackets. They lead 7-6. They have flankers right and left this time. LSU drops men off to the sidelines to protect against the flankers. Henry Hare is one way. Tees is the other. Back to pass is Mitchell. The pass is good to Billy Tees at the 30-yard line. He's wrapped up immediately and stopped on the spot by Don Simpson, defensive right side back. And that pass gets to 7 yards. And the Georgia Tech aerial attack is really showing us something out here this afternoon. It's second down now and 3 to go for the Yellow Jackets. Billy Tees on the flank, just rolling downfield, button hook back up, and Wade Mitchell hit him right in the breadbasket with the tackle made at that spot. Mitchell has looked better on offense this afternoon than we have ever seen him since the Notre Dame game a year ago. Now we've got flankers Huff flanking on the left side and Tees, the counter flank on the right. Mitchell takes the one man, hands off to Rodenberry. He runs out around right end, is down to the 30, takes off one man and can't take off another. He's thrown to the ground on a collar tackle by Levi Chuck Johns as he goes to the 29-yard line for a gain of only 1. Rodenberry was running the fair where he heads up toward the line of scrimmage and then throws out toward the sideline. Runs laterally and tries to turn the corner, and he could not quite get there as Chuck Johns came blazing up, caught him from the rear, and slung him down. Caught him by the jersey and ripped it off, actually, and now we're going to have a striptease performed by young Mr. Rodenberry as he comes over to the sideline to get a new piece of cloth on his back. That'll give us a chance to pause and have our sponsors come in for a message. Take time out, friends, to have the crankcase of your car drained and refilled. Oil Progress Week means Lucky Number Week for some lucky Atlanta couple. See your neighborhood service station for details on how you may vacation in Nassau this year. The hand you heard was for Wade Mitchell, who's gone out of the ball game for Georgia Tech. He's been in there most of the way thus far. It was spoken of one period when Schamberger ran the club back in the first quarter. Senior Bill Billman is in now at the quarterback post. You've got Jakey Shoemaker in at right guard. Paul Rodenberry is now a flanker out. Georgia Tech has third down and 2 at the LSU 29-yard line. There's a fumble in the backfield, fumble forward by the fullback, Dickie Madison, and let's see if he recovers it. It's going to be close enough for the first down. Tech does recover, and we'll have to measure. There was the belly play with Bergman handing it off to fullback Madison. And Dickey could never quite find the handle on it, fumbled it forward, dove to the ground, and covered the ball himself. At about the 26, 27-yard line, now the 6 go out. Headlines when Robert Caldwell of Mississippi State took the train back down. First down, Georgia Tech. At the 27-yard line in LSU territory. So that forward fumble worked for 2 yards. It is not, of course, an intentional play. No coach puts it in his repertoire, but sometimes it helps out. 27-yard line. The ball just about squarely between the sidelines right there. Good crowd. Beautiful football weather at Grantsfield. Georgia Tech leading LSU 7-6. And the Jackets have flankers right and left. Bill Simmons one side, the back to the other side. Goodman back to pass. Shoots out toward the sideline. Not quite good. The reason we have to say that not quite was the T took the ball on his fingertips and juggled it beautifully. It was driven out of bounds by Dickie Prescott before he could gain possession of it. So it goes as an incomplete pass. As Billy T is running from the flank. Bent toward the sideline and almost had control as he crossed over. Went over the right side out of bounds. It goes as an incompleted pass. That's the first in the last 4 that Tech has thrown to be incomplete. Second down, 10 to go for the Jackets. Tended is one flanker, Rodenberry another. As they come out spread wide. Bigman is back to pass. He's got good blocking. Keeps on way toward the western sideline. Overthrows his man. It's no good. Intended for Bill Sennett. Out of bounds at about the 10-yard line. Don Simpson followed the play along with Larry Jones of LSU. So at the second successive incompletion, moves the ball back again to the 27-yard line, makes it third down and 10 to go for Georgia Tech, and Larry Ruffin, the speed merchant from West Point, Georgia, goes into the football game. Tell you a story about Ruffin. He was one of the only, I suppose the only fellow we ever heard of who did this one. He was the captain of the West Point team under Coach Carlton Lewis back a while. Billy Tees comes out now and gets the good hand. We'll finish the story about Ruffin in a moment. He is the flanker. along with Bill Sennett. Now, Rodenberg is flanking along with Sennett. Back to pass. Here's Bigman. He shoots one down the middle. That is almost intercepted at the 5-yard line. Don Stinson had a play on that ball and could not quite hold it. Bill Sennett was the intended receiver, and he could not get to the ball. Johns had the best play on it. Anyway, Larry Ruffin back in high school was the captain of his team and had orders to hold up on another team they were playing because the West Point squad was running away with them. And at one stage of the game, West Point went for a long touchdown, and there was a penalty against the other team called, and Ruffin elected the penalty, called the touchdown back, and elected the penalty because he'd been ordered to hold the score down. An incompleted pass makes it 4th down, Georgia Tech. He's got Frankers both ways. Back to pass is big when he's rushes time. Shoots across the middle. Give it to Sennett down at the 13-yard line, and Sennett is jumped up immediately and stopped by Don Simpson. But not before Georgia Tech has the 1st down and 10 to go at the LSU 13-yard line. Beautiful pass from Bigman to Sennett. Sennett cutting across. He was on the flank and cut across downfield over the middle and took in that pass. That was Georgia Tech's 9th 1st down of the football game. Pass gets to 14 yards and the 1st down. Tech leads 7-6. Kenny was the flanker. Johnny Menger is in and flanking. Bigman back to pitch. He throws down the middle. Good at the 6-yard line to Henry Hare, and Henry was stopped immediately. Tackled by Al Doggett and Sonny Murphy of LSU. And where did Georgia Tech find this blazingly brilliant passing attack? They're showing off out here this afternoon. It's 76, and Tech has the ball at the LSU 6-yard line. We're 2nd down and 3 to go. Johnny Menger flanked out to the right side this time. There's no end flanking. Bigman is the quarterback. He takes it. There's the better player. The pitch out going to halfback. Larry Ruffin runs wide. Goes into the end zone. Standing up for a 2nd touchdown. Larry Ruffin running wide on the belly play. As Joe Bigman first takes the ball to the fullback, Dickie Madison, throws it away, passes back deep to Ruffin, and Ruffin turns it on around the end, into the end zone for the touchdown, and Georgia Tech leads LSU 13-6. Into the ball game goes Burton Grant. The ball from Wilmington, North Carolina. Bigman comes out and gets a nice round of applause. It'll be Brad attempting the conversion with Johnny Menger holding. We've got 7 minutes and about 12 seconds left in the half here. The lines are down. Snaps back at the low, and there's a spot. There's the boot. It is good. Georgia Tech 14. LSU 6. And let's bring on Ken Wilson for a bit of recapping here. Ken, let's speak up. I've never seen Tech look so sharp passing, even in the days of fellows who were supposed to be great passers at Tech side. And here comes Wade Mitchell, who, as we say, has been a sensation on defense all year for Tech, but has never been just a great whiz at offensive play, but he certainly showed himself off to be a passing artist to go. And Tech has never had his body play working to better advantage than it has this afternoon. I think that accounts for the score at this time. Thank you, Ken. Well, the Tech student body has something to cheer about, and all turned out here for the first time in complete panoply before this crowd. They are whooping it up across the way as their football team looks sharper, hitting harder, and showing more successful offensive than we've seen any time this year. It'll be Jake Shoemaker booting off for Georgia Tech. 14-6 the score. The line drive kick that bounces and is fielded at the 9-yard line by Don Stinson. He's back to the 20, running right up the middle, goes out to the 25, almost to the 30. Tackle first by Frank Christie, the sophomore left tackle, helped out by All-American guard Franklin Brooks of Georgia Tech. The stop made officially at the 29-yard line.
And at that spot, LSU has possession. 1st down and 10 to go. LSU will move with Al Doggett still in at quarterback. The left half is Levi Chuck Johns. The right half is Don Stinson. And the fullback is Dickie Prescott. That's the way they started this ball game, with the exception of Prescott. Okay, Ferguson was in at fullback when we kicked off originally. Johns is a flanker out to the left side. Quarterback Doggett with the long count goes back in the pocket. He's going to pitch, has time, shoots upfield. It is no good. The ball hits the ground at about the 42-yard line. Sammy Murphy, the left end, was the intended receiver, but Jimmy Thompson, the defensive right side back of Georgia Tech, had more chance to catch the ball than did Murphy. Into the ball game goes Carl Vereen, replacing Christie at left tackle for Tech. Don Ellis shows for the first time at left end for the Jackets. He is the Dalton sophomore, Dalton, Georgia. Big red-headed kid who's in there, thought to have a great future with Tech. He's in now at left end. Sal Nicolo of Saugus, Mass. goes in for LSU. He's a long way from home. Massachusetts. Saugus, Massachusetts. A boy named Sal Nicolo. 5'8" incher, 165 pounds. Now number 79 goes into the ball game for LSU, and he's one that we don't have listed because he's a great big bruiser who just made the traveling squad, apparently. We'll try to pick him up for you. It draws a murmur from the crowd because he is such a monster. He's a great big fella up at tackle. The ball at the 29-yard line for LSU, where it's second down on no gain on that last play. Second and 10. Back to pitch is Doggett. He shoots upfield. It is almost intercepted by Don Ellis, but not quite. At the 35-yard line. Ellis again having a better play on the ball than did the intended LSU receiver. Franklin Brooks was in to put the pressure on Al Doggett and make him throw in a hurry. So that goes to 2 successive incompleted passes for LSU, and it moves the ball to the 29-yard line once again, where it's third down and 10 to go. James Lavin is the boy who's going in there. He's a sophomore who weighs 245 pounds and stands 6 feet 5. He's the guy who's the goal went up for. He's wearing a new jersey tonight, this afternoon, 79 instead of 72. We got a flank right to the right side. Simpson back to pass to Doggett. He shakes off one would-be tackler, runs, throws a running pass upfield, intercepted by Johnny Manger at the 40, who shifts off one tackler, runs way back out to the 45, dodges loose from the 45, stumbles back to the 40, and running like a professional football player, goes finally dead at the 41-yard line in the arms of Sal Nicolo. Johnny Manger refuses to be stopped. He runs like a professional. When he gets down to a knee, he gets up and keeps going again. They finally rule him dead at the 41-yard line, and Tech calls timeout. Beautiful piece of running by Johnny Manger, who intercepted that pass and came tearing back. He ran back toward the south end, away from his goal line, to get some running room to shake off an LSU tackler. Finally got in a trap back there and went dodging around, and finally got back to the 41-yard line. Big Larry Morris comes out of the ball game for Georgia Tech, gets a nice round of applause. The Jackets are razor sharp this afternoon so far. How are you fixed for blades, Jackets? The ball at the 41-yard line. In LSU territory in Tech possession. First down and 10 to go for the Golden Tornado. And now they've got Bucky Schamberger in there at quarterback. Bucky rooms with Bill Brigman. And as you may or may not know, Schamberger is considered one of the outstanding split T operatives on the Tech squad. He has been a B teamer for so long and has run for the B team against the varsity so many times that he's finally earned himself a promotion and his first real appearance as a Tech player here this afternoon in the varsity status. Schamberger has the Red Devil or Po Devil red shirt out here at Tech. Was called upon to take the part of many a big star, act like many a split T quarterback against the varsity defenses, and he's learned his job well, and so he gets a promotion, and he is in control of the team right now. Johnny Menger has gone out. George Valkert come in for Georgia Tech, and Valkert is the flanker out to the right side. His play is in again at the 41-yard line. LSU's end of the field. First down, 10 to go, Georgia Tech. After the pass interception, Schamberger takes the ball, runs the keep play up to the right side, makes 2 yards to the 39-yard line before Ted Paris makes a stop. That was the split T optional play with the quarterback moving along his line of scrimmage and finally turning upfield as the end played his halfback, and there was no possibility for a successful lateral. Gain on the play of 2 to the 39. It's second down, 8 to go. Up over the ball comes center Jimmy M. Morris. No flankers this time. Quarterback Schamberger sets him down, takes it, goes back to pass, looks around, throws a running pass that is no good. Jimmy Thompson, the intended receiver, almost had that ball in his hand, dropped it, as Thompson had run a pattern that called for him to go down and then cut toward the sideline, and the pass was there and Thompson was there, but somehow they had not been introduced to each other formally, and they refused to stay pals very long. Incompleted pass moves the ball back out again to the 39-yard line, where it's now third down and 8 to go for Georgia Tech. Score is 14-6. Yellow Jackets leading with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the half. We've got Valkert on the flank out to the right. Schamberger back in the pocket. He's going to pitch. He's chased back. Throws a screen pass intended for fullback George Humphreys, and Humphreys has his feet knocked out from under him by center Larry Jones and cannot catch the ball. It goes incomplete. Humphreys was certainly not the first target of Schamberger on that play. He was a secondary target. And Bucky was driven out of his pocket and was chased back upfield and threw to Humphreys in desperation. It was not complete. So now at the 39-yard line, it's fourth down, 8 to go for Georgia Tech. They line up in the T, and if they kick, they'll have to shift out of it. They do. Sending Valkert back just across the midfield stripe at Tech's 46-yard line. He sets with his feet on a parallel, neither foot up in front of the other. Gets the snap, kicks it. Beautiful spiral toward the sideline on the far side of the field. The ball hits on the 10, rolls toward the corner, and goes out of bounds at about the 1-yard line.
Everything works right when some things work right. And George Valkert has just sliced a spiral off the right side of his foot that hits on the 10-yard line across the way and dribbles out of bounds at the 1-yard line. And the dense spot, LSU will take over and go on offense with their backs actually up against the north goal. LSU has Sammy Murphy at left end, James Lavin at left guard, Ted Parris at Lavin at left tackle, Ted Parris at left guard, Larry Jones at center, Monk Parker at right guard, Ted Fournette at right tackle, and Joe Tuminello at right end as they move on offense from the 1. The handoff goes to the fullback, and he's met at the line of scrimmage and thrown back into the end zone. His forward progress, however, carried him out a little bit, and we have a handkerchief on the play, a marker on the far side of the field.
As big number 74, All-American candidate Sid Fournette was one of the men involved in whatever happened here, and let's see what it was. They can't possibly penalize them because there's nowhere to go. They can't go closer to the goal line than the 1. Really, they can move to the half, but after all, it's a cripping penalty and decline. That's one of the things we were always taught back in geometry, that you get down to the irreducible minimum. And they are starting from the irreducible minimum with the ball on the 1-yard line, and they threw the play back a half a yard, so it's now back to the 1/2 yard mark, if you can imagine such a thing. We'll keep it on. Let's make it the 1. Call it 2nd down and 10 to go for LSU, and they send the kicker back. He can't go very far back. Doggett moves back to the end of the end zone. He's about a foot inside the end zone. Gets the snap. He's going to run with the ball, try to come out. He runs way wide to the right. He's up to the line of scrimmage, out to the 5-yard line. Is caught from the rear. Tackled by Carl Vereen, who got one hand on him at the belt and threw him to the ground at about the 9-yard line. There was a desperation play that worked for LSU as Al Doggett, standing back in punt formation with his foot just about 6 inches from the end of the end zone, took the ball and took off around right end, ran it out to the 9. And at that spot, LSU has 3rd down and about 1 to go. Make it 2 to go. 3rd and 2 to go. As Carl Vereen got to him and brought him down. 14-6 is the score. Georgia Tech leading LSU with 4 minutes and a half left in the half. Al Doggett, the quarterback, takes it, hands it off to his halfback. And Stinson finds running room, goes out across the 15-yard line, has made himself a gain. At the 17, it's enough for the 1st down for the Bayou Bengals. And LSU, backed off into a corner, has now come out of that corner and are fighting uphill. Tackle was by Jimmy M. Morris and Jimmy Thompson of the Yellow Jackets. A gain of 8 yards on the play. And it's 1st down and 10 to go for the Tigers. We've got 4 minutes left to play in the half. The clock showing a straight-up 4 minutes. Let's pause right here, 10 seconds, and let our stations identify themselves. A whole lot of troops coming back into the ballgame now. As you know, these games under the new rules that went into effect last year provide for 6 substitution periods. The first one is the entire first quarter. The second one is the first 11 minutes of the second quarter. The third is the last 4 minutes of the second quarter. The fourth is the entire third quarter, and so on. And no player who has seen action in any one of those periods can go out and come back in again in the same period. If he goes out, he's got to stay out until the next period. Well, now we've moved into the third substitution period with 4 minutes left to play in the half, and that means that anyone who has seen action in the second quarter earlier can now come back in. And both of these coaches, Gus Tinsley and Bobby Dodd, have sent back in some people who were with us just a few moments ago. We've got some scores for you at halftime. Georgia 7, North Carolina 7. As the Tar Heels came back to tie it up in the second period, Georgia was out front 7-0 at the end of 1. In this ball game, it's 14-6. LSU scored first, and then Tech came back with 2 beautiful touchdown plays and lead by 8 points. LSU in possession, 1st and 10 at their own 17-yard line, with Pepe Gonzalez flanking out to the left side. There's a pitch out going to fullback OK Ferguson, and runs wide to the left and is driven to the ground at about the 21-yard line after a gain of 4. Tackle on the play was by Larry Morris and Jimmy Thompson for the Yellow Jackets. A gain to the 21-yard line makes it 2nd down and 6 to go for LSU. The backfield for the Tigers, Al Doggett at quarterback. He's been there all the way with the exception of about 2 plays when Wynn Turner came in and took over. The fullback is OK Ferguson. He's back in there. He is alternated with Dickie Prescott. The left half is Levi Chuck Johns, and the right half is Pepe Gonzalez. No flankers this time. Doggett on the belly play, hands first to the fullback, then to Chuck Johns, who runs off right tackle and may have made his 1st down. He comes out just shy of the 30-yard line. They're going to move the ball back to about the 28. And this is going to be a 1st down for LSU with Larry Morris coming around, following the play and making the tackle at the 28-yard line. A gain of 7 on that carry. LSU has its 7th 1st down of the football game. We have a score here. SMU 12, Missouri 0 at halftime. That's 1. Notre Dame 20, Pittsburgh nothing at the end of 3. Army leads Dartmouth 27-0 at the half. More scores later. The left end for LSU finds out a little bit. The handoff goes on the quickie to the right halfback, Pepe Gonzalez. He runs out
across the 30 to the 33-yard line for a gain of 5. Gonzalez just back on the ball team after an absence of a couple of weeks. He, I think, missed a curfew or something of that sort, and Coach Tinsley, enforcing discipline, made him get off and had to be voted back on. It's 2nd and 5 for LSU. Larry Morris once again makes the tackle on that last play. 2nd and 5. LSU trailing Georgia Tech 14-6. The handoff goes this time to the fullback, and he was smacked down immediately. O.K. Ferguson had no running room whatsoever. He was strapped down hard at the line of scrimmage, possibly a loss of about a half yard. Larry Morris once again in on the play with Don Miller to help out. So the ball rests on about the 32.5. We'll keep it to 33, make it 3rd down and 5 to go. Ball pretty well in center field as far as the sideline strikes are concerned. LSU sends a flanker out to the right side. That's John flanking. Back to pass is Doggett. A jump pass upfield, almost intercepted at the 40-yard line by Charlie Huff. He could not hold it. Simonello was the intended receiver, but he was nowhere close to the ball. Charlie Huff was. But Huff was backing one way, and the ball came on the other side, and he could not quite hold on. Incompleted pass makes it 4th down for LSU and 5 to go. Still time in this football game. We've got 1 minute 48 seconds left to play in the half as Georgia Tech prepares once again to go on offense after this kick, assuming that there will be a kick with 4th down and 5 to go. Tech sends in a bunch of substitutes. Wade Mitchell comes out. Bill Bigman is in at quarterback. Billy Tees is in at right half. Henry Hare and Bill Sennett on the flanks. Johnny Hunsinger is still in there. George Valkert. And Valkert and
Tees. Is that Valkert or Rodenberry? Twin safeties as Doggett goes back into punt formation standing at his own 20-yard line. He gets a snap, steps up into the ball, kicks it away. A nice one going downfield. Gives a little bit of time there. Rodenberry takes it, hands off to Tees. There's Jakarta. He's up to the, fan dances along the line of scrimmage at the 40-yard line and still moving out to the 45-yard line. Tees came to the sideline, got 1 foot down where he thought 1 more inch would have knocked him out of bounds, and he did a fan dance there, standing up, wiggling, wobbling back, trying to gain his balance. Did so, moved out to the 43-yard line as Larry Morris threw the key block to shake him loose. Tackled eventually by O.K. Ferguson at the 43-yard line, and we were...
Today's episode is brought to you by thisdayinthenfl.com. Celebrating football's greatest moments, one day at a time. Listen to classic broadcasts, explore historic games, and keep the legacy of the NFL alive at thisdayinthenfl.com.
Is there for a moment as we watch Billy Tees try to balance on an egg there.
And if he had been blown toward the sideline, he would have gone out of bounds. We thought possibly he had anyway, but he cut back toward the center and picked up a few more yards to the 43 before they finally got to him and made him stop. Now you've got Joe May in the ball game in left half for LSU. We've had the man come along. Win Turner is in also defensively. Tech has possession on their own 43-yard line. 1st down and 10 to go. 14-6 to score. Tech leading with 1 minute 20 seconds left in the half. Tech has flankers left and right. Everybody jumps off sides, gets back on again. Back to pass is Bigman. Takes his time. Shoots out to the right. It is good to Billy Tees at the LSU 45-yard line. Tees is caught up with it at that spot. Lunges forward. Has a couple of people piling on him. And they wrestle him to the ground at about the 43-yard line. Joe May, the defensive side back, and Win Turner were the 2 key men on the tackle. It's good enough for the 1st down at the 43-yard line in LSU territory. They make the 14-yard gain on the play. And the 1st down Georgia Tech. You got a time call here as Billy Tees has lost his shirt. They catch hold of these thin jerseys out here and rip the jersey off, but the player goes on, and of course that's the big idea. So time is called while we get a look at the undershirt of Mr. Tees. They strip him down out in the center of the pasture here, and we'll give him a new jersey. We'll have to keep an eye on him to see whether he changes numbers or not. Out of the ball game comes Johnny Hunsinger, a fullback, and in goes Dickie Madison, the big boy, the sophomore, for Georgia Tech. The Jackets leading 14-6 here, beautifully. First touchdown as a result of a 77-yard gallop by a young Mr. Billy Tees
at right halfback. A beautiful thing. With the key block being thrown by Henry Hare, the right end. And then the second touchdown a few moments ago here as Tech showed us a passing attack. That he replaces Larry Ruffin, the man who just made that beautiful run around the right end. So Tech is going to have about 21 seconds possibly remaining in the half. They've got 20 yards to go. They lead 14-6 here. And the Tech student body at the moment is being entertained by the LSU cheerleaders who are down in front of them to lead a yell. They have some girls on their cheering squad, so of course that sits well with the Tech student body. Tech had a girl cheerleader a year ago, but she dropped out somehow. She's not yelling them this year. Tech comes up with Menger, a flanker wide to the right side, and Bill Sennett flanking on the left. Back to pass is Brigman. He looks. He throws down the middle. It is good to Sennett at the 2-yard line, and he falls forward down to about the 1. The clock is still running with less than 15 seconds. The Tech tries to hurry it up now. They've got first down goal to go at the 1. It's a race with the clock. They line up quickly. Got about 5 seconds. Brigman takes it, pushes in, and let's see. Does he score? Clock still goes. 2 seconds, 1 second. They'll have to unstack him. That's going to be the half with no score. That is one of the craziest things you ever saw. As Tech completed the pass, good for 18 yards down to the 1-yard line, and the clock kept running. They had used up all the timeout. They tried to line up for the touchdown attempt, and it was right funny to see one of the LSU folks who was back in the Tech backfield running to get back on sides so that it would not penalize his team and call for the automatic timeout. He jumped over the Tech line. Brigman took the snap from center and moved forward, trying to crash into the end zone, but he did not quite make it. So as things did 2 weeks ago here, we've had the half end with Tech in possession at about the 1-yard line. Score is 14-6 this time, though, and Georgia Tech is looking real sharp. Of course, the ball game is a long way from over. We've got 2 good periods of football left to play, but certainly we can look forward to a good second half and a lot of excitement here in the next few minutes. About 30 to 35,000 football fans here in Grant Field on a perfect football afternoon to watch all the excitement here. We've got the Tech marching band doing just that for the first time this year, and that makes a difference. And thrown down at about the 24, 23-yard line for a loss of 4. Dickie Madison running without any visible means of support. No blocking in front of him at all on that one. Chuck Johns and Dickie Prescott came up to make the stop, and either someone busted a signal or that was a naked run because he had nobody out in front of him at all, and 2 of the LSU secondary people came up to make the tackle at the 23. It's a loss of 4, so Tech has second down and 14 to go. The Jackets flank 2 men this time. Rodenberry wide to the left and Henry Hare wide to the right. The lines are down. LSU using a 6-man line with 2 outside linebackers on the same side. The handoff goes to Tease, who runs around left tackle, cut up across the 25-yard line, back out to about the 26, stopped by Ted Paris in the center of the LSU line. They're just about back to where they started this series, about a foot shy, so we'll call it the 26-yard line. A gain of 3 makes it third down and 11 to go for Georgia Tech. Tech, of course, in their traditional white and gold trousers with a white and blue stripe down the side, white jerseys, dark blue numerals, white and gold, blue and gold slash marks, gold headgear. They shift into punt formation, sending fullback Dickie Madison back to do the kicking. He stands at his own 12-yard line. He's deep. He gets a good snap, throws the ball, and it's a honey, going way upfield, across the midfield stripe, taken on a fair catch at the 37-yard line by Al Doggett. And that's the second time that Doggett has made a fair catch. And once again, Larry Morris was breathing fire down his throat. And perhaps if you've ever seen Larry Morris charging head on at you with mayhem in his manner, you can understand why they call for a fair catch when he gets within shouting distance. And there he was for the second time to enforce a no return after a Tech punt. LSU takes over on the kick, the ball at their own 37-yard line. They've gained 7 yards on the exchange. It's first down, 10 to go for the Tigers. 14-6 the score. Tech leading LSU in the third period. Doggett takes the ball, runs out to the right. Elects to keep the ball, and he's hit and thrown at about the line of scrimmage. He may make 1 yard forward. The tackle was made by Jimmy Durham, the end, and number 77, Frank Christie, the tackle. We'll pause right here 10 seconds and let our stations identify themselves.
Complete scores of all the games immediately after this broadcast on WGST AM FM Atlanta.
LSU has Wood, Dildy, Parrish, John, Jones, Parker, Fournette, and Tuminello along the line. Flanking is Don Stenson in the backfield. The quarterback is Doggett. He takes it, goes back to pass, gets behind the blocker, turns around, shoots upfield. The ball almost intercepted by Franklin Brooks at the 43-yard line, intended for John Wood. And this boy Doggett throws a sort of a sidearm pass, actually. He does not cock his hand back by his ear and shoot the ball on a loft. He throws one, a screamer, that runs about 3 or 4 feet off the ground and hard. It ought to be tough to intercept, but it's equally hard to catch. He had no pocket on that play. He ran over behind one halfback and counted on him for his blocking screen. He got adequate protection, but the pass was no good. At their own 38-yard line, LSU has 3rd and 9 now. They have a flanker, Stinson, out to the left side. Quarterback Doggett pitches back to fullback Prescott, who cuts off left tackle, goes out to the 45-yard line, stopped by Franklin Brooks and Larry Morris, the twin All-Americans of Georgia Tech. Dickie Prescott is the starting fullback. And we have an injury on the field. An LSU man who does not get up after the tackle. He was one of the blockers. I believe that's Ted Paris, who's played a real good game at left guard. He's from Leesville, Louisiana, a sophomore, 20 years old, 6 foot, 190 pounds. That'll give us a chance to call the lineups for you here as we're in the third period with some 10 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in this stanza. Georgia Tech leading 14-6. We've had no additional scoring since halftime. At left end is John Wood for LSU. The left tackle is Gary Dildy, one of the co-captains here this afternoon. Ted Paris is the left guard. He's the injured player. The center is Larry Jones of Little Rock. The right guard is Enos Monk Parker. The right tackle is Sid Fournette. The right end is Joe Tuminello. Al Doggett is at quarterback. Dickie Prescott the fullback. Chuck Johns at left half, and Don Stinson is the right half. Georgia Tech has Jimmy Durham at one end, Henry Hare at the other. The tackles are Frank Christie and Ormond Anderson. Anderson getting his first start of the year, by the way. He was promoted from the B team. He's from Chattanooga, Tennessee. He's 214 pounds, 6 feet 1 inch tall, and he's only a sophomore, so you can look for good things for him in the future. As Tech goes right here with 2 starting tackles, sophomores. The guards are All-American Franklin Brooks and senior Ray Willock from Missouri, Webster Grove, Missouri. In the center, of course, is the big guy, the Brahma Bull from Decatur, the captain of the team, Larry Morris, the All-American pick last year, and certainly the preseason All-American choice at center this year. In the backfield for the Jackets, Wade Mitchell is a safety man on anything but a kicking situation. The halfbacks are Paul Rodenberry and Billy Tees, and Dickie Madison is the fullback. Now we've got a punt situation. LSU has 4th down. The ball at their own 45-yard line. 4th down and 2 to go. Back to kick is Doggett. Back for Tech are twin safeties, Tees and Rodenberry. There's a snap and there's the boot. It's a low line drive spiral. It goes over on the far side, taken to the 10-yard line by Tees. He takes a look at the sideline, then comes around running laterally this way. He cuts up to the 15, to the 20, shakes loose to the 23-yard line, and is caught by a tackle by Ted Paris, who got hold of him. Joe Tuminello came in to lay a finger into the pie and help out on the tackle, as did Larry Jones. Tees caught that ball and had to look down to see whether he was out of bounds or not. He thought he was, so he stood there momentarily at the 10-yard line, finally saw that he was still in the playing area, so he came cutting across diagonally and worked his way out to the 23-yard line. But Tech has 1st down and 10 to go. 14-6 to score. Georgia Tech leading LSU. We have a flanker, Billy Tees, wide to the left. Wade Mitchell is the Tech quarterback. Mitchell takes it, hands it to Madison, who runs up the middle nicely across the 25-yard line. It's made about 4 yards to the 27. John Wood makes the tackle. Dickie Madison seeing more action here this afternoon than he has in any previous period. He's a sophomore fullback, counted on for great things in the future. He gains 4 yards to make it 2nd down and 6. Tech in the huddle with Wade Mitchell, calling the shots now, and he sends Tees out on the flank to the left. Tech splitting its line, but they have not done too much what you would think of as split T play. One Tech man jumps off sides. Mitchell lets him get back on. There's no contact. We don't believe. The handoff goes to Madison, runs off left side, cuts back this way, running laterally on the slant, moves out to the 30-yard line for a gain of 3. And that must be the same play that they ran a few minutes ago, and it's something of a surprise to us because they flanked the halfback, who nominally would be in front of Madison, who would ordinarily be out there blocking for him, and let Madison run pretty well by himself out to the right. The tackle on that play by Joe Tuminello and Don Stinson of LSU at the 30-yard line. And at that spot, Tech has 3rd down and 3. The ball is about 18, 19 yards in from the eastern boundary across the field from us. LSU drops its umbrella back for secondary, anticipating a pass as Mitchell on the belly play pitches wide out to Tees, who gets the block, comes out to the 30, back to the 33, out to the 35-yard line, dancing and turning before he's jarred out of bounds by Al Doggett. Block on the play by Paul Rodenberry, shook him loose for what yardage he made. And it is enough for the 1st down at the Georgia Tech 34-yard line. Billy Tees makes just exactly enough. That's Georgia Tech's first down of the second half, their 13th of the football game, as they have really been racking them up here. At the 34, Georgia Tech has 1st down, 10 to go. LSU at the moment using a 6-man line. Flanker out to the right side is Rodenberry for the Jackets. 1st down, 10 to go. They lead 14-6. Pitch out goes back to Madison, the fullback, and he's got to shake loose one man if he can do it. The man grabs him by the shirt, then shakes down to his legs and makes the tackle back at the 31-yard line. That was Dickie Prescott, the fullback. who backs up the line for LSU and came firing in on the play, caught Dickie Madison first by the shirt. Madison looked as though he might pull away. And Prescott slid down him to get a death grip on the ankles and throw him down at the 31-yard line. It's a loss of 3. Makes it 2nd down and 13 to go for Georgia Tech. And we are at odds with the official statisticians, so don't count our first down calls because we may have missed one. Flanker out for Tech is Paul Rodenberry to the left side. The quarterback is Mitchell. He takes it, goes off to the weak side, jumps and throws a pass that is good to Henry Hare, just shy of the 40-yard line. He's driven out at about the 38. There's the weak side pass with the quarterback taking, peeling off to the weak side and turning around and throwing a jump pass out to the right. Here's a score for you at halftime. Duke 13, Purdue 0. Remember, Purdue beat Notre Dame. And here is Duke, 13-0 out front at halftime. At the end of 3 quarters, Ohio State 21, Illinois 0. At halftime, Indiana 14, Michigan State 7. In this ball game, it's 14-6 Georgia Tech as the Jackets have a flanker out to the left side. Mitchell, the quarterback, he takes it, runs off to the right. He's going to run with this one. He comes out to the 40-yard line, lowers his shoulder, drives on to the 43 before he is hit and chilled for good, just shy of the first down territory, we believe. It may be enough. It's going to be close. They may have to measure it. There we are on the far side of the field. The stakes are on this side, and it is enough for the first down at the 44. Six-yard gain, just enough for the first down as Mitchell went inching his way along, diving, putting his big frame out in front of the tacklers to make the first down at the Tech 44. First down, 10 to go for the Yellow Jackets. They have flankers wide each side. Tees back in the backfield. Hare on the end. Back to pitch is Mitchell. He shoots up the middle. It's good to the LSU 46-yard line. The tackle made immediately. Jimmy Durham is the catcher. And an acrobatic catch that was, too. The tackle by Ted Paris and Al Doggett of LSU. And the Tech passing attack has been a thing of beauty here this afternoon. They have really looked like professionals on this one, and that's going to be close to enough for the first down. They'll measure it, and that'll give us a chance. Well, no, we'll not do it right here. We'll pause a little later on. Here's another score for you. At halftime, Minnesota leads Northwestern 12-7. Let me catch up with this pass play. It's going to be good for about 10 yards. As the measurement, it misses by a matter of a foot, so we'll call the pass good for 9 yards. So the LSU 46-yard line. Make it the 45-yard line, where it's 2nd down and 1 to go for the Jackets as they huddle back there. Another score at the end of 3, Notre Dame 20, Pittsburgh 0. At halftime, Army 27, Dartmouth nothing. More scores later. Tech in possession at LSU's 45-yard line. Mitchell back to pass. He looks, he shoots way downfield. Jimmy Durham can't get it at the 15-yard line. Durham, the intended receiver, had gotten behind the deep man. There was halfback Chuck Johns, but the pass was just a bit over his head. So we go back out to the 45-yard line, 46-yard line. Mitchell did a nice job of faking on the play, and LSU was tackling what looked to be legitimate ball carriers. The ball resting about the 46-yard line, LSU territory, 3rd down, and a matter of a yard needed. Mitchell takes it, sneaks with it, keeps it, makes his first down at the 44-yard line. That ball is going to be, let's see now. Now we can get exact with you because that ball is exactly on the 45-yard line. So at the 45, it's first down for Georgia Tech and 10 yards to go. Tech leads 14-6 here in the 3rd period of play with some 6 minutes, about 15 seconds, less than 6 minutes in the 3rd period. 5 minutes, 40 seconds left to play in period number 3. Georgia leads North Carolina 14-7 at the end of 3 up in Chapel Hill. Mitchell goes back to pass for Tech. Looks, he throws across the middle. Good to Henry Hare at the 35-yard line, and Hare is wrapped up immediately and stopped. Chuck Johns makes a tackle, and that again is going to be close to enough for the first down. They put that ball down on the 35-yard line, and the chain is just about, well, we're going to have the scissors. We're going to have to measure. Time is called for LSU, and let's have a word from our sponsor right here.
You know, putting up with worn-out tires, a clogged oil filter, or a fading battery in your car can mean real trouble later on. Take time out to let your Texaco dealer check these and other trouble spots regularly. If you need a new battery, new tires, or other accessories, you'll find a complete stock of the best right on hand at your nearby Texaco dealer's best friend your car has ever had. Get your lucky number folder today. Visit your favorite service station here in Greater Atlanta during Oil Progress Week and get details on 2 fabulous vacations in Nassau.
Back in action again, we've got numerous substitutions for Georgia Tech as Coach Bobby Dodd apparently still goes along with his idea of leaving people in the ball game long enough to be effective and not too long to get tired and ineffective. Also into the ball game during this timeout period for LSU comes the big fullback that you've read so much about, Lou Dershman, D-E-U-T-S-C-H-M-A-N-N, a New Orleans sophomore who is 6 feet tall, weighs 225 pounds, is a sprint man in track, 19 years old. He had a bad knee back at the start of this season, and that was thought to keep him out for a spell. And then last week he played and injured an ankle, so he's in, but not at full strength. Tech lacks less than a yard for a first down at the LSU 35. Tech leads 14-6. Flankers right and left. Bigman, the quarterback. He's back. He fakes the one man. Finally shoots a wobbler downfield. It's intercepted by LSU at the 22-yard line. Ted Parrish makes the catch. He's
Back to the 30, to the 35, and there's a marker on the play. Way back over where the whole thing started. Ted Parrish, who had dropped off from guard to back up the line for LSU, pulled in that pass intended for Henry Hare. Paul Rodenberry was also downfield at the same spot. We had an illegal position penalty called against Georgia Tech, and of course it's refused by LSU. And that's Tech's first pass of the afternoon to be intercepted by LSU. As Ted Parrish drops off and runs it back out to the 38-yard line, where it's first down for the Bengals and 10 to go. Bill Bigman's pass, which was right, went downfield and was intercepted by Ted Parrish. Out of the ball game goes Al Doggett, the senior quarterback for LSU. In comes Win Turner, sophomore, 19 years old, 170 pounders, who's 5'11". The fullback is Dershman. The halfback is Stinson and Johns. Dershman in action for the first time this afternoon. First and 10. The handoff goes to Stinson, who burrows his way out across the 40 to the 41-yard line, running very close to the ground, shoving forward for a gain of 3 yards to the 41. The tackle was by Reese Phoenix, Don Miller, and Frank Webster of Georgia Tech. It'll be second down and 7 to go for LSU. 14-6 is your score. 4 minutes and about 40 seconds left to play in period number 3. Grand Field, Atlanta, Georgia. Thad Horton, Joe Zoss, Jack Kelly, Iden Miles, Ken Wilson, all on hand here to do the honors for you on a beautiful football afternoon. Stinson is the flank out to the left side. The pitch off goes to Dershman. Dershman is hit behind the line and thrown by Frank Webster for a loss back at the 40-yard line. And Lou Dershman running for the first time in this football game. He's the big 225-pound fullback who's supposed to be fast. And he took off as though he wanted to go around left end, and he didn't get anywhere. Defensive end Frank Webster of Roosevelt High School, Atlanta, came in to make the tackle at the 40. It's a loss of 1. Makes it third down and 8 to go for LSU. And the Bayou Bengals are operating from the hash mark 1/3 of the way in from the eastern boundary across the way in front of the Tech student body. We have a flanker out to the right. It's Chuck John. Tech dropped off a couple of folks. They are playing now with a 4-man line. It's back to pass to Turner. He shoots upfield. It's incomplete. He throws a hard strike. It's intended for end Joe Tuminello, the right flankman. And it was broken up by Jimmy M. Morris and Johnny Hunsinger of Georgia Tech. Incomplete. So the ball goes back to the 40, LSU's 40, where it's now fourth down and 8 to go for the Bengals. And Georgia Tech drops George Valkett and Thompson off into twin safeties. Now they come back up again, and we may have a change. Let's see what happens. No, it's going to be Tech's dropping a whole lot of folks off. Valkett and Thompson are the deep men. Johnny Hunsinger is in the middle of the Y, with Bill Bigman back on one side. Back to kick is Don Stinson. There's the snap and there's the boot. A high wobbler going across the field and out of bounds, just inside the 30-yard line in Tech territory. And now we'll line it up. The back judge and the referee will get in line with each other and place the ball at the 27-yard line. And that's where it will be as Georgia Tech takes over, goes on offense once again. Yellow Jackets in possession, their own 27-yard line, first and 10. They lead 14-6. There's 3 minutes and 42 seconds left to play in period number 3. Tech will go with Bill Sennett and Frank Webster as the end. Carl Vereen and Reese Phoenix at tackles. Alan Ecker and Don Miller at guards. Jimmy M. Morris at center. Kennett is the flanker out to the left side this time. The quarterback Bigman takes it, hands it off to his fullback Hunsinger, who twists up the middle and goes out to about the 30-yard line for a gain of 3. Make that to the 32 and give him 5 yards gain. He went farther forward than we thought he did. Tackle was made by John Wood. At the 32-yard line, it's a 5-yard advance to make it second down and 5 to go. Tech has a flanker out to the left side, Jimmy Thompson in the backfield. The right end is out just a shade. The handoff goes to fullback Hunsinger, who runs off the left side, comes out to the 35-yard line approximately. Make it to 35, a gain of 3. Enos Monk Parker makes the tackle. Larry Jones also in on the stop. Gain of 3 at the 35, and it'll be third down and 2 to go. Third and 2 for Georgia Tech as they move north. The shadows coming down across the field now. They are just inside the playing area. as it waxes later here in Atlanta. Jimmy Thompson, the flanker, wide to the left side this time. The Tech line stood out. Quarterback is Bigman, takes it on the belly play. Pitches back deep to Walker, who runs wide around the right side. Cuts loose from one man out to the 40-yard line. And if they give him all of that, he'll have first down. Let's see, it is first down, 10 to go for the Jackets at their own 40-yard line. Larry Jones makes the tackle. Chuck Johns also on the stop. Jones and Johns responsible for that one. Gain of 5 yards and a Georgia Tech first down. The Yellow Jackets out front 14-6. First touchdown, a 77-yard touchdown run by Billy Tees. The second one, a 6-yard gallop by Larry Ruffin. We have a flanker wide to the left this time, George Balkett. Has the belly play with a handoff going to little Jimmy Thompson, who burrows his way out to the 45-yard line. That's his first defensive maneuver of the afternoon. He's been in there a lot on defense, but has not yet run the ball, and now he does. He's a little water bug, the scooter from Bessemer, Alabama. And he moves 5 yards forward through this big line. Monk Parker finally gets to him and makes him stop at the 45. It'll be second down at Georgia Tech and 5 to go at that spot at their own 45-yard line. The ball 20 yards in from the eastern boundary across the way. Barker is on the flank this time, wide to the left. Tech using a flanker on virtually every play. The handoff goes to the fullback, and Hunsinger rips up the middle on the belly play, on one of the alternates of the belly play. Comes out about 3 yards to the Georgia Tech 48-yard line. They've got to go just about the midfield for the first down. Larry Jones responsible for the tackle at the 48. Gain of 3 yards makes it 3rd and 2. Beautiful sun-kissed crowd here this afternoon. Couldn't be better football weather. Might be a bit cooler, but it's nice enough as it is. Tech in possession of their own 48-yard line. LSU mashes the defense. The backers are outside. The handoff goes to Walker up the middle. He fumbles when he's tackling. He scrambles for the ball with LSU recovering at the Tiger 49-yard line. Gary Dildy, starting tackle and one of the captains here this afternoon, recovers George Balkett's fumble. Balkett had found some running room, had gone through the middle, had made some yards, and fumbled the ball forward, and Gary Dildy led the charge toward it and recovered. Time is called for LSU, and we'll have a message from our sponsor right here.
Time out is a good time for an observation. An egg beater is a wonderful little gadget. But if your car is beginning to ride like one, you'd better drive into your Texaco dealers for Marfac chassis lubrication. Marfac gives you that smooth, cushiony feeling that lasts 1,000 miles or more. Fights friction every mile of the way. So start enjoying a smoother ride tomorrow. Drive in for Marfac chassis lubrication at your Texaco dealer. He's the best friend your car has ever had. And now here again is Thad Horton.
Add this fashion note to your memorabilia about Grant Field. They've just added this year for the first time, and I think this is the first afternoon we've seen them pennants around the outside of this big bowl, and there's one pennant for each of the conference schools, the Southeastern Conference schools, and also a pennant for each team that Georgia Tech plays on its schedule. And the Tech pennant and the pennant of the team playing here right now are on the top of the gym down to our left, along with the American flag. Play back in again. Leo Dershman takes the pitch out, runs off left tackle, goes across the midfield stripe. He started from the 48, moves into Tech territory at about the 48 for a gain of 4, with the tackle being made by Jimmy M. Morris and Reese Phoenix. The big boy has run twice, and he has a total advance of 3 yards so far. He lost 1 the first time, gained 4 this time. To the Tech 48, makes it 2nd down and 6 for LSU. The score is 14-6, Georgia Tech. We've had no scoring at all in the second half. We still have about half a minute left in period number 3. Dishman is your fullback. And we have another torn jersey for Georgia Tech with an automatic time here called as Johnny Hunsinger comes over. You know, another advantage, Joe Zoss, of this light jersey for Tech is to get some time out for equipment changes. You know, they've torn several jerseys, and that gives them a breathing space. If they can get them torn at the right time, maybe this will help, huh? Yes, Thad, except when you're on a good hot drive, you know, and have to take a time out. Sometimes the defense should take the time out and get the offense cooled off. This gives the defense. Well, here's a question that we don't know the answer to, and we'll be frank to admit it. Are you required to take an equipment time out if you have a torn jersey or not? What makes it required? You are required? How bad a torn does it have to be? The shoulder pad looks like a football. Yeah, okay. 2nd down now and 6. On the 48 for LSU. At the Tech 48. They have a flank out to the right side. The pitch off goes back to fullback. Okay, Ferguson, who tries to run off left tackle, makes a couple of yards down to the 45. Stopped by Jimmy M. Morris of Georgia Tech. Solo stopped by Jimmy M. He is the younger brother of ex-All-American George Morris, and he wears his same number and is beginning to look a little bit like the same football player. That one went for 3 yards, and LSU will have 3rd down and 3 at the Georgia Tech 45. There's the horn that ends the third period, and let's pause right here and bring on someone from the studio.
Football players require regular checkups to make sure they're in top condition, and cars too should have regular checkups. Every 1,000 miles, it really pays to let your Texaco dealer check your batteries, fan belts, your radiators, tires, and other vital points to make sure you're getting all the comfort.
It's not going to be enough for the first down. The play stopped at the 43, so it's a gain of only 2, and they needed 3. It's fourth down now, and 1 to go for LSU. And the Tigers call timeout. They send Al Doggett, the veteran quarterback, in. He undoubtedly will express Coach Gus Tinsley's wishes as to what happens here. LSU is trailing 14-6. They have fourth down and about a yard to go. And this is where the strategy board has a special meeting and decides what they're going to do about it. Apparently, they're going to kick. They send Doggett back in the front formation at his own 45-yard line. Tech drops Wade Mitchell back into safety at about the 10. The lines are down, and Tech is not quite sure whether they mean this or not. There's the snap, and they do mean it. They kick. A spiral. Doggett bidding for the corner on the far side. It hits on the 10, rolls toward the end zone, goes to the 5. Mitchell picks it up finally at the 2-yard line. He gets one block, runs out to the 5, out to about the 7. That ball may or may not have gone into the end zone had he allowed it to roll, but Wade Mitchell elected to play it at the 2 and ran it back out to the 6-yard line where Buck Alexander brings him down. Buck is making his first appearance of the evening in action for LSU. He is the right end. He's a sophomore from Bear Creek, Alabama. We've had some fans advise us not to talk quite as much about where these people are from, but Bear Creek is certainly deserving of a mention. Tech ball their own 6-yard line. Rotenberry on the flank, wide to the right side this time. Mitchell at quarterback. The handoff goes to the fullback up the middle, and he moves out to just shy of the 10-yard line. Johnny Hunsinger ripping out to the 9. Robert Ziegler makes a stop at that spot. Second down and 7 to go. That's Hendrickson on the PA here has Frank Ziegler of blessed Tech memory in mind, as he calls this. And this boy's name is Bob Ziegler. He spells it the same way, but he is from Coley, Louisiana, and no kin. Tech ball their own 9-yard line, second down, 7 to go. The Jockeys leading 14-6. The handoff goes this time to halfback Rotenberry, who runs on the belly play to the right, moves out across the 10-yard line to about the 12, where Harry Hodges and Sid Fournette make the stop. Coach Tinsley of LSU has a lot of second, third team people in his lineup at the moment. That play stopped at about the 12. So it's a gain of 3 yards, makes it third down and 4 to go. Georgia has defeated North Carolina, and there is something that the experts will call a slight upset. The final score is 21-7 at Chapel Hill. 21-14. Okay. 21-14 as we get our information secondhand on this one. University of Georgia 21, University of North Carolina 14. Final score in Chapel Hill. Tech ball now, third down. They shift into punt formation with Jimmy Carlin, who's just gone into the ball game, dropping off into the end zone. He's about 2 yards deep in the end zone. Gets his snap, gets his kick away, and it's a nice one going upfield. A low line drive taken to the 48-yard line in Tech territory by halfback Chuck Johns, who dodges back down to the 40, back to the 35-yard line on a nice run back. Carlin punting, Johns running it back, and the ball goes over to LSU on the kick exchange. And the Bengals will set up at the Tech 35-yard line, first down and 10 to go as they move once again on offense. They're as close as they have been in quite a while. Tech leads 14-6 here, and LSU has as good a chance as they've had in some time. Quarterback is Al Doggett. O.K. Ferguson is the fullback. Pepe Gonzalez and Chuck Johns are the halves. Gonzalez is the flanker out to the left side as we start on this play. Doggett takes the ball, runs along to the right, elects to keep the ball, and he is clobbered, fumbles as he's hit, and let's see what happens on the far side of the field. It apparently was recovered or knocked out of bounds by Chuck Johns. And, of course, the last man to have possession keeps control if the ball goes out of bounds on a fumble, and LSU was in control as Doggett on the quarterback optional play runs around to his right, elects to keep the ball. He's hit hard by Larry Morris and Franklin Brooks and fumbles the ball forward out of bounds. He gains on the play down to the 31-yard line and advances 4 yards to make it second down and 6 to go for LSU at the Georgia Tech 31. Joe May is in now, left halfback. Pepe Gonzalez still the right halfback. Joe Tuminello is back on action at right end. Flank out to the left side is Gonzalez. Tech using a tight 6-man line defense here. The pitch out goes back to the fullback. Ferguson runs wide to the left. He's chased by one man and stopped on a tackle by Jimmy Thompson for a loss. Little Jimmy Thompson laid for him, bowed his back, struck up the muscles of his neck, and went into him. And you hear the applause of this crowd. Little Jimmy is the type guy that the Tech fans will love because he's a shorty. But that doesn't worry him. He'll stop anybody. Throws him for a loss back to the 33. It's minus 2 yards on the play and makes it third down and 8 to go for LSU. 3 and 8. With the clock showing 12 minutes left to play in the football game and the shadows getting deeper out here, we have no clouds in the sky. Beautiful football afternoon at Grant Field, Atlanta, Georgia. Tech looking for its 4th win out of 5 games. Back to pitch is Doggett. Runs, throws a jump pass down the middle. It's good to Tuminello at the 20. He's down to the 15, down to the 10. No, the 11-yard line where he's finally hit and killed. Joe Tuminello catching a jump pass from Al Doggett and moving swiftly down to the 11-yard line where Jimmy Thompson and Paul Rotenberry bring him down. That pass play gets to 22 yards. And an LSU first down at the Tech 11. First and 10 to go. This ball game not out of reach yet by any means. It's 14-6. And LSU threatening now with about 9 minutes and something left to play in the 4th period. Doggett takes it. He hands off to his halfback, Gonzalez, who runs off left tackle. Moves down to about the 10-yard line. No more than that. And he gained either a yard or nothing. Jimmy Thompson, Larry Morris makes the tackle. Big Larry in on the play to help out the little man. There's no gain on the play. The ball's still at the 11-yard line. It'll be 2nd down 10 to go at that spot. And the Tech shooting body yells, pushing back. We may have been one game forward in our counting. Let's see, this is Tech's 4th ball game, so they're looking for win number 3 and 4, not 4 and 5. Doggett, the quarterback for LSU, goes back, takes the one man, he's going to pass. He runs to the right, decides he can't pass, heads back downfield, takes off a tackle at the 10, butts his way down to the 5-yard line, running with a great deal of determination. And he left about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would-be Tech tacklers back at the 10-yard line and kept going. Charlie Huff was one of them. Jimmy Carlin was another. Frank Christie, they all shook off at him. And Rotenberry finally made the stop at the 5-yard line, and we have an injury on the play. The ball will rest exactly on the start mark on the 5-yard line, a third of the way in from the eastern sideline. Franklin Brooks, the All-American guard from O'Keefe High School here in Atlanta, was shaken up on that would-be tackle. He had hold of Doggett and couldn't contain him. So LSU, on a gain of 6 yards, has the ball at the Tech 5, 3rd down, and about 4. There are a couple of finals. All right, Kelly. We gave you Georgia 21 and North Carolina 7 and then corrected it to 14. Now you got to correct it back again. It's 21-7. Georgia over North Carolina. And we would have to tell you that the only way we can go down the scores out here because of the peculiar setup is through the public address system and through hearing the press box next door scream about them. So occasionally they're a little bit awry. Georgia was victorious, however. It was 21-7, and if you don't believe that, you can just writhe around a while until you find out for sure. Franklin Brooks now comes off the field, led by trainer Buck Andell of the Yellow Jackets. In to take his place goes numero 68. That's Jake Shoemaker, the converted tackle. Play back in again at the 5-yard line, Tech territory. 2 flankers out to the left side this time for LSU. 2 backfield flankers. The handoff goes to halfback Gonzalez, and Gonzalez goes down to about the 2-yard line, running off the weak side, down to about the 2. Knocked down by Paul Rotenberry in the Tech secondary. That rolls along pretty good, doesn't it, Ivan Miles? Rotenberry in the secondary. Gain of 3 on the play to the 2. At that spot, it's 4th down for LSU. 1 yard to go for the first down, 2 yards to go for the touchdown, and what will you have? 4th and 1. You've got the card, the ball on the start mark. A third of the way in from the eastern boundary as the dark blue and gray clad Bengals come up to the line. The Tech line down to face them. The handoff goes to right halfback Gonzalez. He makes a little bit. Let's see what he's done. He's gotten down. It's not a touchdown. As Gonzalez goes down, running on the quickie play from right half, running straight ahead. He's got a first down at about the 1-foot line. At the Tech 1-foot line, it's going to be first down for LSU and goal to go. The Tigers will have Al Doggett at quarterback, O.K. Ferguson at the fullback, Joe May and Pepe Gonzalez at the halves. May was the boy who fumbled into the end zone on the first LSU score with John Wood recovering. Now they come up line. Tech mashes the defense against them. Doggett takes it, hands it off to Gonzalez, and he scores for LSU. Pepe Gonzalez gets into the end zone for the Bayou Bengals, and the score is now Georgia Tech 14, LSU 12, and we're a long way from home. We still have 9 minutes and 5 seconds left to play as the scoreboard clock stops. (14-12) is the tally here, and this kick, of course, could assume large proportions. If they make it, it is conceivable that a safety would put LSU out in front of Georgia Tech. Of course, that's drawing awfully fine conclusions, and we have no reason to believe that that will happen. But when you've got a ball game separated by only 2 points, It'll be Doggett converting, and Matt Burns, Pee Wee Burns in to hold it. There's the kick, and it's good. Doggett blitz it through the uprights and actually out over the bleachers at the end of the field here. And it's 14-13, Georgia Tech over LSU. And we'll have Ken Wilson along for a word of advice or so. Ken?
It looks like in almost all of these Georgia Tech football games this year, Thad, kicking has been mighty important. Today, the kicking importance is reversed in some degree, and that Georgia Tech blocked the kick of LSU's. Wade Mitchell came through and blocked it so beautifully, and by virtue of that block, of course, Tech leads in this ball game right now. And I imagine there's been kicking practice regularly out at the flat this year.
We've got some substitutions in the ball game for Georgia Tech. Bill Bigman, the senior from Brunswick, is in now at quarterback, replacing Wade Mitchell as the Jackets prepare to receive. Billy Tees is back in at halfback. Jimmy Durham and Henry Hare at the end. So you've got some first-team offensive people in there as Al Doggett bits the ball off for LSU. It hit a spinner, picked up at the 15-yard line by halfback Rodenberry. He's back to the 20, back to the 25, wrapped up on a jarring tackle at the 28-yard line. Ray Willock was run into on the play and just slowed up Rodenberry just enough that the tackle could be made by Ivan Camp, center for LSU. Jackets ball their own 28-yard line, first down and 10 to go. Time is called by Georgia Tech, and on that kickoff, Rodenberry came blazing back upfield, and Ray Willock, the right guard of the Jackets, got just a bit in the way, and Rodenberry ran into him. Was slowed up long enough to allow Ivan Camp to come barreling in and make a good tackle at the 28-yard line. So we've got, let's see, we're looking down the barrel here. We've got 8 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the football game. The score is 14-13, Georgia Tech out front. Wow. We're having some confused signals here in the press box, and we'll try to stay in the line and tell you what they're all about. Paul Rodenberry has come out of action for Georgia Tech. He was shaken up on that play. And then to take his place is halfback Johnny Menger, the Augusta, Georgia specialist who does just about everything. He specializes in everything. Good defensive ball player, good punter. Hasn't had a chance to do a great deal of running here. Came to Tech as a quarterback and has been shifted to half, although he still knows both signals. The Jackets going offense to their own 28-yard line. First down, 10 to go, with Menger flanking out to the left side. Bigwin is the quarterback. Bill takes it, fakes to the fullback, hands off to the fullback, and he's ripped out to the 30-yard line. Dickie Madison carrying for a gain of 2 before Bob Ziegler can make the tackle. Don't know whether this struck the other guys in the booth the same way it did me or not, but that Bigman has gotten to be such a good faker that he looks surprised when the fullback took that ball. You notice that? Tie score 13-13 between Maryland and Wake Forest. How about that? 13-13 tie. Maryland, Wake Forest, that's the final. Flank out to the left for Tech. There's a pitch out to Billy Tees. He runs wide to the corner to the 30, the 35, the 40. He's in the loose at the midfield stripe. Cuts back this way. Has to dodge down to the 45. Takes off a tackle to the 40. Still switching and turning to the 35, the 30-yard line. Tackled by Gary Dilly. You are not going to see a better-looking run than that one anywhere in these United States this 1954 football season. And that includes Billy Tees' 77-yard touchdown gallop that put Tech out front, 7-6 back in the first half. Billy Tees was hit by every man wearing an LSU uniform. He was stopped at least 5 times, and he kept going to the 30-yard line of LSU. What a magnificent display that is. Tackled eventually by Gary Dildy, who came upfield to make the stop at the 30. 40 yards worth of run to the LSU 30. Flank to the right this time. Handoff goes, no handoff. Billy Bigman keeps the ball. He fakes to his fullback Madison, and it's finally locked up and stopped for a loss of 2 back at the 32. Pause right here, 10 seconds. All you stations, say who you are, please.
Complete scores of all the games played across the nation today right after this broadcast on WGSC, AM, FM in Atlanta.
Billy Tees with a one-man show here. Well, you can't call it one man. He's had a great deal of help, but he certainly has written his name into the record books with a blowtorch this afternoon. Flank out to the right for Tech. Back to pass is Bigman. They're starting from the LSU 30. There's a long pass off to downfield. It's going to be almost intercepted in the end zone. As LSU's Sal Niccolo ran along, bouncing the ball off the palm of his hand, trying to catch it for the automatic touchback. Billy Tees was your intended receiver, and he was not quite in position to catch the ball. It goes incomplete. Into the ball game go Reese Phoenix and Carl Vereen at tackle for Georgia Tech. In also goes Jimmy Morris at center, replacing Big Larry. So the ball comes back to the 32-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 12 to go for Georgia Tech at the LSU 32. Let's, in just a moment here, after this play, immediately after this next play, we'll pause for a word from our sponsor. It's going to have to be a sort of a quickie, so all of you announcers be taking a couple of deep breaths down the chain and be ready to race through one. 32-yard line, 3rd and 12 for Georgia Tech. Back to pass. In the pocket is Bregman. He takes his time, shoots out to the right. It is no good. Overshooting the intended receiver, Billy Tees, at the 15-yard line. Now let's pause for a message from our sponsor.
Some of these players are really dynamite today, but did you notice?
For Georgia Tech, be 4th down for the Jackets and 12 to go from the 32. There's a snap and there's a kick. Angle for the sideline, across the way, and I believe he got a little bit too much foot into it as it goes out of bounds. Where are they going to mark it? No, they're not either. They're going to mark that thing out of bounds at the 7-yard line? Yes, at the 7-yard line. Well, that shows you that distance can be deceptive, because it certainly looks from here as though the ball has gone over the end zone corner and out of bounds, but it did not. Out of the 7, Johnny Mingus kicks for Georgia Tech. And Tech has nothing to apologize for in their kicking game this afternoon. 1st and 10 for the Bengals at their own 7-yard line. The score is 14-13. Georgia Tech leading with 6.5 minutes left to play in the ball game as Al Doggett brings his team up to toss. Dickie Prescott's his fullback, Sal Niccolo at one half, and Pepe Gonzalez at the other. The ball at the 7-yard line, LSU territory. Fumble in the backfield, back at the goal line, and Doggett falls on it in the end zone. That's going to be a safety. 2 points for Georgia Tech as Al Doggett fumbles the ball backwards from the snap, runs back and has to fall on it 1 yard into the end zone, and that's a safety, where it's 2 points for Georgia Tech. The Jackets now lead 16-13. That makes it 16-14 in favor of Georgia Tech, and of course, on the safety, the ball comes out to the 20-yard, 16-13, not 14. 16-13 is the score. Georgia Tech out front of LSU on the safety here with 6 minutes and still 17 seconds left to go in the football game. And, of course, the ball will come out to the 20 and will have to be kicked from that spot. Al Doggett will do the booting. And we'll have a score for you here in a moment. What you got, Jack? While we wait, Columbia-Yale final. Yale wins 13-7 over Columbia. Pennsylvania and Princeton are 7-7 at the end of 3. At the half, it's Arkansas 18, Baylor 7. As Doggett will kick from the flat. He's going to place kick it from the flat at the 20-yard line, and Tech, of course, deployed defensively upfield. It's a pretty good kick, too, coming down across the midfield stripe, taken to the 32-yard line by Henry Hare of the Jackets. He's up to the 40, the 45, lowers the head and runs out of bounds across the midfield stripe at LSU's 40. See if we can find the marker for you, the 45-yard line. So, Georgia Tech has possession at the LSU 45-yard line. 1st down, 10 to go. The safety giving the Jackets a good chance now as they are down in Bengal territory at the 45. They lead 16-13. Tech does. Send the flanker out. George Valkert wide to the left side. Bigman is your quarterback. He's back in the pocket to pitch. He throws good out to Henry Hare at the 40. Down inside that to the LSU 38-yard line goes Henry Hare on that turn and go pass, the jump pass from quarterback Bill Brigman. Henry Hare has had a great afternoon out here today. Sal Niccolo makes a stop. A gain on the play of 7 yards to the 38. It'll be 2nd down and 3 to go for the Jackets. Actually, it's closer to 2.5. The ball is just about halfway between the 40 and the 35-yard line. The clock shows us about 6 minutes, 3 seconds left in the 4th and final period. Flankers right and left. Back to pitch is Bregman. He shoots one way downfield. Henry Hare is going for it. He gets it at the 5. He scores for Georgia Tech. Henry Hare is broken in behind. Sal Niccolo, the defensive side back, caught that ball in full stride at the 5-yard line and raced into the end zone, and Georgia Tech has another touchdown. They lead 22-13. Bigman gets a nice hand as he comes out. In goes Burton Grant to attempt the conversion. 22-13 your score here. That was a 38-yard touchdown pass from Bill Bigman to Henry Hare. It'll be Johnny Munger holding it. Burton Grant attempting the conversion. The lines are down. There's the snap. There's the spot. There's the boot. It is good. Georgia Tech 23. LSU 13. Here's a bulletin from the newsroom. Supreme Court Justice Jackson of the United States Supreme Court died just a short while ago. Supreme Court Justice Jackson is dead. That bulletin from the newsroom. Let's pause right here for a message from our sponsor. That's 17-yard line. We've got to reach out for a play for you. That pitch out went from Schoenberger to Menger. Menger shook off a tackle, running to the left. He cut back upfield and met one of his own men coming back to do some blocking, ran head on into him, and Menger actually jumped back through the air about 3 or 4 yards. He was tackled again by Sonny Murphy, and he dropped the ball as he fell. LSU recovered it at the Georgia Tech 17-yard line, and Menger is still out on the playing field. Turner backhand there, and one of the Georgia Tech assistants is out there to look him over. We've got 4 minutes left in the football game. The clock is exactly 4 minutes, and Georgia Tech prepares to send in some subs, as does Dino Kinsey of LSU. That was one of the strangest plays you're going to see in a long time. Johnny Menger taking a pitch out, cutting up field, losing tackles beautifully, and doing a nice job of running until he ran head on into one of his own men who was trying to come back downfield to do some blocking. And they apparently actually butted heads because Menger was popped back, literally popped back about 3 yards, and went spinning around like a drunken man who was hit again, fell, fumbled the ball, and LSU recovered at the 17-yard line. Now Menger comes out and gets a nice yell from the first shooting buddy across the way. He's a good prep customer. He's going to do a lot of good for Tech in the next few years. He already has done some beautiful punting and some good pass defense, and looks good on offense. So we'll be hearing more of Mr. Johnny Menger. He's out now, and on the fumble, the ball again has changed hands. LSU will have a shot from 17 yards away as they set up at the Georgia Tech 17-yard line. Actually, it's about 17 1/2. And half yards make a big difference on that coast. Score 23-13. Georgia Tech, a 10-point leader at the present time with 4 minutes remaining in this football game. The Shadows now covering most of the playing area. They're out to the far side anyway. Al Doggett brings his 2 up there. He's got Simpson and Johns in at the halves. They're the 2 starting halves. Peg drops off a couple of backers. Back to pass goes Doggett. Left throws hard. It's good down to the 9-yard line to Joe Ciminello, and he is hit down at the 7. Al Doggett throwing, Joe Ciminello receiving. Knocked down by Paul Rodenberry after the catch. And that may be enough for the first down. They're going to have to measure it. Coach is working this football game. E.D. Cabot of Southwestern is the referee. The umpire is William LaCroix of Tennessee. The headlines is Robert Caldwell of Mississippi State. The field judge is John Griffith of Georgia. The bench judge is J. Frank Lowry of Howard College. And the electric clock operator is Lou Richards of Georgia. They put the stick down. It is a first down by a matter of an inch or so for LSU at the Georgia Tech 7-yard line. First down goal for the Tigers at the Georgia Tech 7. We have 3 minutes and 45 seconds left to play in the football game. Georgia Tech out from 23-13, and the Tech big men are in there. Larry Morris and Franklin Brooks, Carl Vereen, Don Miller, Bruce Finney, Frank Epstein, Charlie Huff along the line. Al Doggett, quarterback of LSU, takes it, goes back to pass. He looks, he throws, he shoots into the end zone. He's good for the touchdown to Ciminello. Running about 2 yards inside the end zone and unprotected. Wade Mitchell and Paul Rodenberg come over to make the play on him, but they're too late, and LSU has scored on the Jackets to make the score 23-19. Joe's offense to say something. They're going to take the first touchdown pass against Tech in 3 years. Since Notre Dame, maybe up to them last year, that's right. Coach Lou Woodruff is having a tremendous amount of praise for his work in coaching the Georgia Tech defensive secondary. Score here now is 23-19, and it will be Doggett attempting the conversion. With Chuck Johns holding. The lines are down. There's a snap to start the kick. It's good. And the score is Georgia Tech 23, LSU 20. And we've really got a long game here. We still have 3 minutes and about 25 seconds left to play. Ken Wilson, what do you think of this football game right here? It's been so exciting for me, Chad. The score keeps hopping up and down. And Justin, the front Tech's got a comfortable lead. It suddenly disappears, and here we are back where a field goal to tie things up if the opportunity should arise, and there's ample time remaining in the game for that very thing to happen. So by no means is this getting on ice yet. Got a lot of time to play football left, so you can't start starting away any victories here for either team or putting away your hopes if you're for the underdog. Because in 3.5 minutes, a lot of football can be played, and a great many things can happen, as we've already seen proven out here this afternoon. Example A, JT 77-yard touchdown gallop, which certainly took less than 10 seconds. Doggett will kick off for LSU here. It's an onside kick. They'll tackle off the roll and go out of bounds at the 43-yard line. So there's a pretty good break for the Jackets. There's big Don Miller, number 59, the younger brother of All-American Harry Miller of recent fame. almost decided to play with the ball and then decided not to. And we have what? Offside call against LSU, a marker on the play. And they're going to have to move the ball back to the 35-yard line. Moved back down to the 35-yard line. Georgia Tech taking the penalty. And LSU offside, they'll have to kick it over again. So we've got a score of 23-20 here with 3 minutes and about 22 seconds left to play with Doggett. Prepares once again to boot it off the goal for LSU. Doggett moves up on the whistle, kicks the ball, gets a good one this time. No fooling out of an onside kick here. Wade Mitchell takes it back at the 5. He's up to the 10, to the 15, to the 20, to the 25. Cuts loose to the 30, out to the 35-yard line. Still fighting his way. Finally, stepping and stops. Never goes down to the ground. He's stood up on a tackle at the 35 by Don Simpson and Bucky Prescott. Nice return of 30 yards by Wade Mitchell gives Tech possession at their own 35-yard line. First down and 10 to go. The Bucket 23-20, leading LSU with now less than 3 minutes remaining in the football game. Jimmy Karen, the punting specialist from Pittsburgh, Tennessee, is limbering up on the sideline just in case. As Big Wade Mitchell prepares to drive this Tech feed, he pitches back to little Jimmy Thompson. Thompson needs a block. He skirts through a hole in the line, goes out to the 40, breaks loose to the 45, to the 50, to the 40. It's caught from behind and thrown down to the LSU 30-yard line. Little Jimmy Thompson. He lifts his shirt. Back up there someplace. One of the guys got hold of him and tore his shirt off of him, but little Jimmy went crashing on his merry way down to the 30-yard line for a gain of 35 yards. Ricky Prescott finally got to him and made him stop. We have an injury on the field. Larry Jones, the LSU center, taken up back at the line of scrimmage. And we've seen more determined running by Georgia Tech banks out here this afternoon than we've seen at any other period this year. These guys will not be stopped. They are running as if their very lives depended on it. And we've seen some beautiful ones here today. Billy Tees has looked magnificent. Rotenberry has looked real good. Barkett has run beautifully. Dickie Madison has gone well. Little Jimmy Thompson, who comes over taking off that shirt as you would unpeel a cardigan, pulling it down the middle as though it had buttons and tearing it around from the back. And he'll change jerseys. And I stand across the way for co-captain Larry Jones, the center of LSU, who goes out. He's the first team pivot man and one of 4 co-captains in this ball game. Carrying the duties with him this afternoon are Al Doggett, Sid Frenchy Fournette, and Gary Dildy. As Coach Tinsley does not have a season-long captain, but apparently shifts during the game, giving different people a crack at it. Tech now at the LSU 30-yard line with the first down and 10 to go on a beautiful run worth 35 yards by young Mr. Jimmy Thompson, the little guy. The Jackets did battle under the guidance of Wade Mitchell at this stage of the game. He's the quarterback. He's coming to his offensive own, at least as far as we're concerned here this afternoon. He's looked better than we've ever seen him in driving the team, and he's played a good defensive game as well. Wade puts him down, calls the signals, pitches back to halfback Rodenberry, who runs off right back, gets the gap, goes down inside the 25-yard line, and finally puts the keeps at the 22-yard line, and we have once again a man taken up on the play. It was Monk Parker and John Wood who made the tackle. And Al Doggett was the man who was hurt on the play. He came in to assist on the stop and was taken up. Famous call on the playing field for LSU. And some of the folks go back to talk to Doggett. And he'll go out of the ball game to be replaced by Win Singer, the sophomore understudy from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Nice time for Al Doggett, who's been a hero for LSU all afternoon long. He looks a good hand and a much deserved round of applause as he goes out. He's a real good boy, that Doggett. He was a quarterback in high school and then was made a halfback down at LSU and finally reverted to his normal status and has been guiding the team for quite a while now. Taking possession at the 23-yard line, second on 3 to go. Thompson flanking right to the left side. Second and 3 at the LSU 23. Mitchell hands the ball off to the fullback. Hunsinger rips loose, goes down and is turned and over in on a tackle at about the 17-yard line. Hunsinger found some running space and made the first down at the 17, and when he was hit, Chuck Johns got him on his feet and came straight up and turned Johnny over his back. We've got now 1 minute remaining in the football game with Tech in possession at the LSU 17-yard line and having a first down. 17 yards away from pay dirt. The clock still runs with now 52 seconds left. Taking no great hurry. The score is 23-20. Jackets leading. Mitchell sets him down. Puts it back to little Jimmy Thompson and helps lead the blocking. Thompson heads for the corner. He's got some good blocking. He's down to the 15, to the 10, cuts back into the 5. Goes snapping that ball. Larry Morris pulled out to lead the blocking. Paul Rodenberry went along to the right. Wade Mitchell was out there and knocking people down in front of little Jimmy Thompson. And this little shooter just went in there all the way, 17 yards, running around the left end and scoring for Georgia Tech to make it 29-20. Sid Fournette of LSU is taken up on the play, and he has his training people working over him on the far side. Fournette is a real good tackle who has been pretty well blanketed here this afternoon. He has not shown to any spectacular degree here this afternoon. Now Thompson comes out and looking at the hand he'll get. Thompson replaced in the ball game by Dick Gookin of Nashville, Tennessee, G-O-O-K-I-N, a sophomore halfback. It'll be Wade Mitchell attempting the conversion with Johnny Hunsinger holding. The lines are down. We have less than a minute remaining. About 40 seconds left to play. And Tech has just scored again. The lines are down. Larry Morris taps the ball back. There's a spot. There's the boot. Mitchell gets it through the uprights, and Georgia Tech leads 30-20. And we'll bring on Ken Wilson again for a message here before we talk about what happens in the last 40 seconds. Ken?
Well, what can we do with a ball game like this? I even now wouldn't consider this a final score 30-20, the way these two teams have been scoring. The Tech has looked sensational in its passing plays this afternoon, and certainly we've seen some exciting runs today from Billy T. and here in this last quarter by little Jimmy Thompson, who on that last touchdown march racked off that nice 35-yard run to get down there in scoring territory, and then that 17-yard scoring run of his. Two beauties. A very exciting afternoon, Thad. Wouldn't have missed it for $1 million, I don't believe.
Unless the really miraculous happens now, this ball game is beyond the grab of LSU. Tech nursing a 10-point advantage with about 40 seconds of nursing left ahead. Mitchell kicks off.
A spinner that is fumbled by LSU's man at the 32-yard line, and John Wood got a finger on it, could not hold on, and fumbled the ball, finally pounced on it at the 32, recovering the fumble. And at that spot, LSU will have possession, first down, 10 to go. 30-20 the score. Georgia Tech leading LSU by 10 points with about 15 seconds now left in the ball game. As you've got Chuck Johns flanking wide to the right. Quarterback is Win Turner. Turner is back to pass. He's rushed.
Better hurry. He's hit by Tech and thrown for a loss inside the 20-yard line, and that should run out the clock. There are less than 5 seconds now. There are 3, there are 2, there is 1, there are no seconds left. There's your football game as Franklin Brooks and Don Miller came smashing through the offensive LSU line, put the pressure on sophomore quarterback Win Turner, and smother him back at about the 17-yard line before he had any chance to get off a last gasp pass for LSU. The ball game's in the record books. It's Georgia Tech 30, LSU 20, and the Yellow Jackets continue dominance in what has been so far a fairly lopsided series. It started way back when and has gone off and on ever since. They've not played consecutively at all, but the first game was played back in 1915, and since that time, this is the 10th encounter, and Tech has won all but one of them. A good win this afternoon, showing a whole lot of troops for Georgia Tech. A lot of people look good that you expected to look good. Billy T's at his most spectacular this afternoon, and some of the other folks showing equally well, and a few people surprising. Wade Mitchell having certainly his best day at running the football team. Little Jimmy Thompson scoring a beautiful touchdown run and playing a jammer game on defense. Henry Hare turning in his most stellar performance of this or any other season at the Flat. And other stars too numerous to mention. You'll read all about it tomorrow and hear about it on the TV and so forth. But for this afternoon, that's going to be your story from Grant Field. Next week it'll be Auburn, Georgia Tech, one of the greatest old traditional rivalries of the entire football country. The War Eagles will be in town, and we, of course, will be right here on hand to bring you the action from Grant Field. Our thanks this afternoon to Ivan Miles, who is maybe the best of all the engineers. You can't tell, but he's as good as we've seen in a while. Jack Kelly and Joe Zoss for their competent spotting jobs as always. Ken Wilson and Bill Lowry for keeping you amused and interested and enthralled during halftime and at breaks in the ball game. From Grant Field, Atlanta, Georgia, it's Georgia Tech 30, LSU 20. The game's all over, and this is Thad Horton.
And so, fans, ends another exciting afternoon with our home team, Georgia Tech, which will perform.
Today's episode is brought to you by thisdayinthennfl.com. Celebrating football's greatest moments, one day at a time. Listen to classic broadcasts, explore historic games, and keep the legacy of the NFL alive at thisdayinthennfl.com.